Hey folks, Randy Newberg here. We are ready to record the next episode of Leopold's Hunt Talk Radio. And with me today from Boise, Idaho at the Backcountry Hunters and Anglers Rendezvous are two guys who represent a really, really cool following and platform out there on YouTube. And I think that anybody who's in the world of elk hunting, especially archery elk hunting, knows who these guys are, especially after their huge success of what they launched last year. These are the guys from Born and Raised Outdoors. They have their series called Land of the Free. And I think anyone who watched it thought, man, that is cool. All public land, all self-guided, all archery elk hunting. Oh, man. I wish I would have had time when they called me last summer and said, Randy, we want you to be part of this. And I had to say, dang it, my calendar is more than full. And but anyhow, we've been trying to line up calendars to do this podcast since can't remember when. But today, I got them in the room along with an audience of people, and we're doing a live podcast. And as quick as I get done explaining who is the generous folks who make this podcast possible, we're going to turn it on, and Kody and Trent from the Born and Raised crew are going to be here with us. But before we do that, I want to thank Leupold Optics, the sponsor of everything we do. I don't care if it's me showing up doing appearances, me doing conservation work, me doing advocacy, politics, and wherever, plus all the video and audio content that we produce. Every bit of that is in large part funded by the great folks at Leupold. So if you appreciate their support, one way to show that is when you're in the market looking for great high quality optics, you'll look for that stuff that has the gold ring on it. Leupold just they're just the core brand of what we do, and they represent all the things that we stand for. Then we've had Orion Coolers on our podcast twice, maybe 3 times, Damon and the crew. If you get a chance, if you want to hear some really cool public land, self-guided stories, those podcasts with Damon Bungard from Orion Coolers are really cool stuff. Damon is the guy leading the charge there at Orion Coolers, and he has come up with amazing products. In their support of us is not just in the podcast, but they want to support the audience also. So if you go to orioncoolers.com and you use promo code RANDY, R-A-N-D-Y, you're going to get yourself a free tumbler that they've designed. It's got our logo on it, and it's just for our audience who use promo code Randy. And then we have the good folks at Go Hunt, GoHunt.com, the insider, those strategy articles, those draw odds, all that information about every unit in the West. Amazing stuff. I tell people that the strategy articles themselves are worth just more than what the price of the subscription is. But they want to make sure that anybody who comes from our platforms, who signs up and uses promo code Randy, gets a little bit extra. If you sign up using promo code Randy out at GoHunt.com, where you click the button that says Insider, when you sign up for the Insider, they're going to give you $50 of free credit in their gear shop. Yeah, like just money out of the heavens. And this gear shop isn't just run-of-the-mill stuff. This is serious, tested backcountry hunting gear. GoHunt.com, sign up for the Insider, use promo code Randy, get yourself $50 of mad money. And then we've got Onyx Maps, who, gosh, I've been using their stuff for so long I can't even remember when I first started using it. But a lot of you ask, how do we end up with so many of these great hunts, these great tags? How do we pull this off? Well, a huge part of it is we apply for tags that have a little bit harder access because of the private land issue. And the reason we can navigate that is because of our OnX system. And they want to support us. They have been supporting us for a long time, but they also want to give something back to our audience. So if you go to onxmaps.com and buy some of their app products, which I'm a huge fan of the app product, both for the smartphone and the desktop computer app, amazing stuff. I spent a ton of time out there, especially in tag application season, but even more so in the summer period when I'm doing what I call desk scouting or e-scouting. And go out there, use promo code RANDY, R-A-N-D-Y, when you check out. And any of your app products, you're going to get a 20% discount on any of that. So with that, we are about ready to get into a really fun conversation with two great guys. Like I said, I really wish my calendar would have been able to fit it in. And maybe, hopefully, by the time this podcast is done, I will have coerced them into submitting that invite one more time so that I can get it off my bucket list to go and archery hunt Roosevelt elk in Oregon. So hang in there, folks. Appreciate you following along. Kody and Trent from Born and Raised Outdoors coming right here. Well, folks, I told you we were going to have a couple of really good guests. We've been trying to do this podcast now since, I think, sometime last winter. Or
It's going to be January, then February, and here it is, April.
And here it is, April, yeah. So with me are a couple guys. I don't know what they did with the rest of the crew, but unless you've been sleeping in a cave for the last 6, 8, 10 months, you know who Born and Raised Outdoors is. You know about their Land of the Free project. And with me are Kody and Trent from that operation. And by the time this podcast is done, I'm going to get them to commit to let me come and hunt with them for...
Wait a second.
I called them last year and I begged, hey guys,
here we go.
Can I come along? My son just moved to Oregon. I'm Jones and I'll pack. You do whatever. And they're like, no, we're kind of busy.
Replay. Yeah, I'm not sure that's the way it went, but if you saw it that way.
Oh, no, they called me and invited me, and unfortunately, I was just... We had too many good tags.
Yeah, you had a bunch of stuff going
on. When you guys were going in August, I had a really cool Nevada mule deer tag.
Oh, that's right.
That I messed up. And then...
Been there, done that.
Yeah, and then you guys were going to Wyoming, and we had Wyoming rifle tags and llamas rented, so we had a conflict there.
Speaking of llamas, I heard you guys named a llama last night.
Yeah, okay, folks. We're here at the Backcountry Hunters and Anglers Rendezvous in Boise. And last night, Bo Beatty, this is a long story. I don't know how long we got to talk about it, but Bruce Pettit, who's the CEO of Leupold, he said, Randy, I've been watching your stuff, your Instagram, your videos, and whenever those llamas are on there, a lot more people pay attention. Don't take that personal. I think he was implying that I could maybe work on my appearance game a little bit. And he said, Leupold's looking for a creative way to promote and talk about public lands. And we think that naming a llama and having him with you would be really cool. I'm like, what do you mean naming a llama? He's like, yeah, we'll call him Marcus Leupold. And we'll do a social media campaign about where's Marcus. And wherever you're at, you'll give us the details and we'll put it out on Instagram and Facebook. I'm like, so you want me to tell the audience every place I'm hunting this year? He's like, he kind of called me out. He's like, well, are you in or are you not in? And are you a public land guy or not? I'm like, oh man, that's like pulling the card there. So I'm like, all right. So that's how it started. And I was telling the folks here that Leupold was bringing the llama to the booth today. And Grant's like, well, can we name another one and have the proceeds go to BHA? So that's how it started. That's how it happened last night. And so the facility here didn't want to hurt llamas on their brand new carpet.
Yeah.
So that's why they said, all right, you can bring a little one, but you can't bring a full-grown one. So Bo had to bring that llama last night. Was only 7 days old.
It didn't look very big.
Yeah, and so his dad, Oliver, we hunted with him last year.
The llamas.
Llama,
Okay.
Oliver.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So not hunted for him, hunted with him.
So we're clear.
And so Oliver's offspring was there last night. What'd they name him? Pancake,
I think. Is what
and what Lorenzo from Go Hunt, Lorenzo Sartini, those guys, he's the one who did the winning bid. And
wasn't it $3,000?
3,000. And
that's incredible.
He told me beforehand, he said, you know what, we're going to do what we can to support conservation today. I'm like, well, get out your checkbook. That's the best way I know how to do it.
I can see Porter counting. Wait a second.
Hold on.
So Oliver, I've drafted my team of llamas for this year, and because I'm not young and strong like you guys, so I got to come up with a different plan.
We talked to a guy yesterday about pack goats, and that intrigued me a little bit.
Yeah,
did not intrigue me at all.
No. Huh.
No.
Why not?
That just seems I don't know. That's why we got Kody. That's why we hunt in teams of like 8.
Yeah.
You know, it's not that much elk meat on each other's back just to get him out in one trip.
Well, yeah, when you hunt in a team of 8, holy cow.
True.
We're usually in a team of 2 or 3, so it's not. Well, and I'm like worthless, so my camera guys are like, yeah, there's 3 of us, but really only 2 of us work. You know, the other guy just sits around and tells stories and acts like he is somebody. So I've drafted my team of 4 llamas already for the season. So with all the tag applications that we've done this year have been in the mindset of we're going to use llamas. So.
Oh, really? So you're all in?
I'm all in, man.
Nice.
My elk hunting career just got extended 10 to 15 years.
Yeah.
On account of llamas.
Yeah.
And I can assure you guys, if Born and Raised started using llamas, you guys would never go back.
Everybody says so. Everybody I've talked to that's used them.
Ty was talking about it. He's got some coming, and it's like...
Yeah, and these ones that Bo has, they're pack llamas. And Bo and I are going to do a podcast on the Leopold podcast later today. And it was weird. He's told me the story of how it happened. Most of the pack llamas ended up in North America. I guess in the 70s and 80s, llama shows were a big thing.
Really?
And so they bred them for this big statured, kind of like dogs. I see the dogs that win those kennel club shows. They look like some sort of morphed out thing. It's like, why would you breed it to look like that? You couldn't hunt with that thing. But that's kind of what they did with the llama gig. And down in South America, most of the llamas they kept were the little ones that produce more wool. So all the big llamas are in North America. These are like big pack llamas. They weigh 450 to 500 pounds. Wow. And they can carry 80 to 100 pounds each. Yeah. Multiple. We took 7 of them into the Wind River Range last year. As the most luxurious camp we've ever had, man.
Well tent style.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well.
You could.
With all of our production gear and everything, I'm thinking, I told the crew, I said, let's still go lightweight because if we shoot 2 elk, it's going to be all we can do for those llamas to get them out. Well, we shot 1 elk and 2 llamas took out a non-boned out elk. Yeah.
Quartered? Kidding?
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, Marshall, he's a big old boy. He carried both hindquarters. And then Oliver carried the 2 front quarters and the head and most of the trim. And then Marshall took some of the trim and other stuff.
That's almost like a horse. I mean, really.
Yeah. And they're so low maintenance. They eat anything.
That's what the guy yesterday come up to me saying. He just ties them up on a circle thing and they just chew on it and they don't have to drink hardly. They're like a camel.
Right. They are a camelid.
So it's like.
So that's what we're doing.
I like that. The only time we've had the luxury of having one packed out for us is we were in Colorado and we were in the trail, Trent's bull, and we saw this track that was literally like a paint bucket size track. It was a horse. Oh, awesome. Followed that track to the camp, met the guys, said, hey, we got a bull down, and that horse packed out his entire bull.
Whoa.
Trevor always brings, I don't know why he does, but Trevor always brings, your binocular pouch and you got the little zipper in the front and the little vortex little thing. Trevor always brings like $100. He has $100 bill every every single time. And he always had, and we're in the middle of nowhere. We're like, what, 8 miles in?
Yeah.
You know, why would, and I brought that $100 bill to those guys and I said, hey, can I borrow your horse? And they thought about it because there was liability issues because they'd rented the horse. And anyway, they finally ended up giving in and led that thing out, loaded up the whole elk.
Draft horse.
It was so awesome.
Wow.
It was awesome.
Cool. Well, I see you guys hunting from bicycles a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? Llamas don't get flat tires. The chain doesn't derail. There's all kinds of things wrong with bicycles. I have a mountain bike at home that has like, I don't know, a mile.
That's not bad.
The tires still have those little knobby stubs on them.
Oh, that's some wear and tear that you put on it.
Yeah, I loaned it to my buddy for bear season last year. I haven't seen it back since I loaned it to him, but that's how much I use it. I could probably die and still not remember that I loaned it to him. So, hey, Phil, if you're listening, I'd like my bike back.
I'd sure like that back.
That's really kind of how Land of the Free, I mean, like going back in history, you know, hunting private timberlands, everything, it's a walk-in. It was either walk, bike, or horse. Gated private timberlands, open to public access.
Right.
So that's what we did. I mean, we turned a private timberland company into our own little wilderness. The road system was our trails, and we had it to ourselves for years. And then
you guys put it on video. And then,
yeah.
Dumb idea.
We learned what a dummy rig was.
Yeah.
Not to park at the gate that we hunted.
Oh, man.
Yeah. A lot of people in Bozeman are like, man, I saw this gold Honda Pilot parked out at the trailhead. Then they see me at the coffee shop. They're like, I saw that at a trailhead the other day.
Be quiet.
Quiet. Shut up. I drive these Nissan Titans, so now everybody is like, oh, there's a Titan at the trailhead. I wonder if that's Newberg. But did you guys see I got a new truck?
No.
Nissan sent me a new Titan.
No kidding.
Yep. So I've bought 5 of them out of my own pocket. And I know the engineers who work on Titan. Actually, Rich Miller, the lead engineer for the whole Titan project in Nissan, he grew up in a ranch south of Boise here, down in the Owyhee country. Yeah, serious hardcore hunter. And through him and a few other people, they're like, you guys need to get Newberg a truck. Right? We can't test it the way he does. So I went 2 weeks ago, dealership called, hey, Nissan sent this truck here. You should come pick it up. All right.
Wow.
But here's the good part. It has Tennessee dealer plates on it.
And you're going to keep them.
I'm keeping them on there. My camera guys are like, well, are you going to swap out those plates? Because all my other rigs have RMEF Montana plates on it. I'm like, nope. We're going to look like we're city slickers, man. We're from Nashville here. We have nothing against Nashville folks, but you know, when you pull up to the trailhead and someone's got Tennessee dealer plates versus somebody's got, you know, Idaho or Montana or Oregon or whatever it is, Colorado, they probably already have an assumption of, that guy doesn't have a clue.
Yeah. He's only going a mile in.
Yeah. So that's you guys were talking, what do you guys call it? A what rig?
Decoy rig.
Decoy rig. That's my decoy rig for now. So
definitely.
But so you guys, how did you come up with Land of the Free? Where did the idea come from?
Kody, go ahead. Go ahead on that one.
Well, I mean, basically to kind of tie that back in, so we hunted, we were at the mercy of fire danger, but for the most part, had all this land accessible. There's one tree farm's like 180,000 acres, another one's like 90,000 acres. And so we hunted it, and it was 2012 was the first year we hunted out of state for elk. We went to Wyoming on a general elk tag and had an amazing experience hunting Forest Service ground, killed a bunch of bulls, and just like, whoa, kind of opened our eyes to what other opportunities were, because we'd only ever Roosevelt hunted. 2000, must have been 14, I think.
I believe so, yeah.
Is when they went to a paid, Weyerhaeuser went to a paid permit access.
Is it a lot? Like,
well,
$100, $350,
$350.
Okay,
and it's
per person.
1,000 permits total for 180,000 acres.
Okay.
It went to, with that access, vehicle access. So now it was open to drive-in.
Every good thing has to go to hell sooner or later.
It's a fact.
It was
the most epic. Like, we could have went there. I'm not kidding you, Randy. And it would have been like, are you ready to shoot a bull elk? There would have been. I mean, I'm not saying you would have got a shot.
Yeah, if the wind played the game right, you were going to get on bulls.
It was amazing, and then it turned into everybody with their stinking Titans coming in.
Oh, dang.
And so so basically, in a 2-year shift, we watched it go from great hunting. The first year it was really good, and we killed bulls. And then it totally changed now. It was 365 days a year access vehicle. The elk population I don't think has shifted that much, but just their habits had.
Yeah.
And so it's totally changed the dynamics of hunting in there now. And so in the same point, we kept hunting out of state every year and, exploring, we went to Colorado, Idaho, and just more and more opportunities on public lands. And so it kind of was one of those, we'd already felt like we'd hunted the heyday, and I'm 35 years old, and in a 5-year, 7-year, 10-year period, we'd seen a huge shift. And so it was for us to kind of bring awareness to what, when federal to state transfer, the Elliott State Forest that was going on,
right.
All of these dynamics, it happened, change happened really fast. And so with preservation for our kids and future generations, it's like, hey, let's do this project. Let's hunt 5 states, 50 days straight, start in Oregon, start in our backyard, hunt on private timberland, and then go explore other states. So,
okay.
Yeah, that's what it was all about.
Cool. So I've watched some of them. You guys, I know you were you already told us you were in Colorado.
Yeah.
You were in Oregon. I know that you guys made it to Montana, didn't you?
Yeah.
Trent's over there. Oh, yeah. There's got to be a story related to that.
Montana was brutal, man. Brutal.
Did you guys get all that snow?
We got, excuse me. Yeah, we got in, in order to make all that, because we wanted to hunt 5 states, and we were trying to do 10 days in each state. And then in order to do all that, Montana took the back seat of October 1st through the 12th.
Right. Because we have the later archery season.
Correct. And we couldn't do that in any other state. So we're like, great, this is going to be awesome. And man, we got that. I mean, it was in 4 days, it never got above 26 degrees or something like that. This Oregon kid I'm not used to that. It was brutal. And then it snowed and snowed and snowed and froze. And we shot at bulls. Montana was the only state that we never did kill a bull in, but everybody shot at one. Everybody got, but just didn't hit all. So, but it was brutal, and the elk were shutting down. And then the first time I've ever seen wolf tracks, that was something else. Yeah, it was just, and then moose, and Montana's beautiful. It was an amazing place. Everybody listening should go there.
Be quiet. Hey.
So, but yeah, we had a blast. But yeah, we did hit that cold snap.
Yeah, so Montana, Idaho, Oregon, Wyoming, Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Wow, 50 days nonstop.
Yeah, and the cool thing is, I mean, like what we talked about, we reached out and tried to do it as a big collaboration.
Right.
So having, bringing multiple people in and experience, like, it was kind of nerve-wracking for us because we'd never shared an elk camp with anybody else. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's one, you go in the mountains and you see like true character and who people are. And it was a little like just the whole nerve-wracking dynamic of that. And so we hunted with Elk 101.
Corey,
Dirk, and Donnie. And then that was in Wyoming. Colorado was with Pure Elevation and Steve and Lenny from EXO, Jason and Tyler, and then we went from there to Idaho with the Hush guys.
Yeah, we're all three of them, Brian, Casey, and Eric.
Yep, they're in Idaho. They had came out and Roosevelt hunted with us.
Right.
Just back in Casey, and then Phelps in Montana. So it was a really cool dynamic. I mean, of how it all went, and
with Onyx Maps too. So right at the end, we closed out with Onyx Maps the last 4 days.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
With Matt and Eric? Or?
Yeah, with Eric and Zach.
Zach.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And Andrew.
Yeah, and Andrew. Yeah, that was a neat thing. I mean, because Eric, he knows the game on the access and all that.
Right.
And it was a fun hunt. Even though it was, we almost killed the bull the very last day. It would have been the 12th of October. and we were down on the wire. We had to be in town for a wrap party. Well, actually, to pick up the
see
wire.
my wife.
Yeah.
That's where I was headed.
That's very important, Trent.
It's been a while. It's been
See the wife part. Yeah.
Yeah.
53 days was a long time. So it was good.
So at my house, like I leave this year, I'm going to leave July 30th.
Wow.
And we wrap up. The calendar looks like December 10th. So when I get home, my wife is, it's the hug and the kiss and let's go to dinner. And within 2 days, I'm on her nerves so bad. She's like, don't you and your buddies have some duck hunting you can go do for the weekend or something? I'll open up the fridge and say, well, since when did we start putting the milk on the top shelf instead of in the door? And she'll just look at me like, listen here, buddy, I've been running this fort for the last 4 months. I don't need you coming in here and telling me what the hell to do.
You've been out playing, right?
Yeah. But whenever she calls or I call her, I'm like, oh man, it's so miserable today. Or like we do Coos archery hunting in Arizona.
Oh, okay.
You guys should come down and do that sometime.
Are you doing
January.
January archery?
Yeah.
Okay.
One thing I've learned is do not call your wife in Montana when she just shoveled snow for the third time that week.
And you're in Arizona.
And say, it's so hot, I don't know if the deer are even going to move today. It's like, did I just say that? I've been married almost 30 years, and I'm dumb enough to say something like that. Oh, well.
I got to wear sunscreen today. I got burnt.
Yeah. So you wrapped up in Montana.
Yeah.
You guys must have been editing like crazy to get all this done. Who does the editing?
Both of us.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Both of us. And that was the whole thing, you do this whole project and you're away from the family because the one thing that we have different a little bit than you is the kids. Both of us have 2 little kids.
Boy, that'd be hard.
So, so you get back and we launched it October 1st. So we had about 15 days.
November 1st.
November 1st. So we had about 15 days there to kind of get everything together, get all the footage compiled because we had 4 terabytes of footage.
Yeah.
And then we're going to do a daily video of every single day that we were on the hunt. So we're going to do a 53-day straight videos.
Yeah.
That turned out interesting, to say the least. So we started out with day 1. Yeah, we got that in the bag. We're like 2 days ahead, Yeah. Then pretty soon, day 2's video. Okay, now we're 1 day ahead. Now days 3, we're on the day.
Keel on day
we
3.
had better upload by. You got to upload by.
You
3
guys
o'clock.
were cutting it that tight
every day.
Oh my goodness!
It was a grind. I mean,
every day.
It was either work until 2 a.m. or go to bed at 8 or 9 and get up at 4 a.m. And so every day at 5 o'clock. We missed, I think, 3 or 4 days where we ended up being late, and that was in the back half of the project. Where it was like, all right, it's going to be up at 7 tonight, and
then like Thanksgiving, we just took Thanksgiving off just to spend with family and stuff.
Well,
so
come on, what's the
we're
deal
super
there?
selfish, but that's what we did.
Yeah.
So it's and then we did an uncut at the end. So honestly, the day before we launched the project, we're like, how can we make this to where it's a little more personal and we can just talk about what just happened, So we thought
real time too.
we're in real time,
engaged.
and so we did the episode, the ending part. We called it the uncut, which we cut it all up, to make it really go fast. And we thought this is going to be like 1 to 3 minutes max.
Yeah.
Talk about what the hunt was like and then shut it down. And it ended up morphing into a whole different thing of shout outs for people and getting to help people and donating stuff and then giving away a ton of prizes. All our sponsors gave us a bunch of stuff. So we got to give away bows and packs and everything you can imagine, shoe and boots, crispy boots. And it was cool. It was really, really cool and everybody just kind of came together and they said, some people said that was their favorite part. So that was really cool.
Really?
Yeah.
But I definitely, we'd go shoot that. We'd have to edit the day, go shoot that, edit that up, put it together. And then he lives in the coast, internet speed.
About like
still
Bozeman.
Today. Yeah.
I may
Not
as
that
well,
great.
I may as well have a dial-up modem.
Yeah. So, you got a 2-hour upload time if we're uploading there. And so, it was, and we had a lot of times, like I'd go over at the coast. So we live about 45 miles apart.
Yeah.
So we'd try to get together most every day or every other day through this whole process and shoot the uncuts. A lot of times we'd hit export, hook the laptop up to in the truck. I'd drive home because I had fast internet at the office, exporting out, get there at 4:50, upload 10-minute. I mean,
there was numerous times we were within that 10-minute span of 5 o'clock. Numerous times.
God. It was fun though.
It was. It was.
So it turned out, I went out and looked at your channel and watched some stuff. Obviously, it turned out to be a big success.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
Did it exceed what you thought it would be?
Blew our minds. Yeah.
It really did, because we went into it. I mean, I quit my job to do this full time a year before, 6 months right before the project. The whole thing was, okay, because I cut timber for 18 years. And our dream was always to do born and raised full time. So what happened was, we went to ATA. We got enough money to fund the project, and so I was going to take 4 to 6 months off. So I was going to take the hunting period off, and then I was going to take enough time off to edit this and with Kody, and then put it up, and then go back to cutting. Yeah. And that was the plan at that time. And anyway, and it was just so neat from the whole project. Just crazy how people globbed onto it and followed it, and it just came to where I can actually do this full time now.
And the community that it built, it was, I mean, it's the most amazing part of it. Like, our whole why is to entertain, educate, inspire. And that's the mission. Yeah. And the amount of messages and emails that we've got, like, since I watched Land of the Free, I'm going elk hunting for the first time. I'm coming out west. I mean, a huge Eastern push. Yeah. Of guys that had never thought that was possible. They thought they had to have big draw tags, and they didn't understand what opportunity was. So that really it's pretty neat to see. So,
well, I'm glad you guys did it.
Yeah,
I just wish I wouldn't have been busy.
Yeah,
I might have had a chance to fling an arrow at a Roosevelt elk.
You could very well have.
Yeah, I miss a lot though.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Or a lot of times I just don't even shoot.
That doesn't matter either, as long as we get it on film, and then we can talk about it later on.
Yeah. Well, like we say in our line of work, right? If it's not on film, it didn't happen.
That's right.
Yeah.
That is true.
So how did you come up with the name Land of the Free?
We kicked around a bunch of names.
We were just talking about that. We brainstormed a whole bunch. We had
Campfire Chronicles was a name that we talked about. We had, what other name? I can't.
Brotherhood, bow hunting brotherhood.
Yeah, something like that. And then we just came up with the Land of the Free thing, and we're like, kicked it around. And so what we do as a group, we meet every couple months, and then we have all these brainstorming sessions of what are we going to do next? What's the next best thing? And that's the way we came up with the Land of the Free projects. We're like, what has nobody ever done before? Mm-hmm. Well, let's take a whole hunting season, film it day by day, and then launch it every single day all the way through. That sounds fun.
Based around the public lands and what's going on.
Correct.
Yeah. So it's you guys. Mm-hmm. Who else have you got there?
We got Steve Howard and Trevor Fisher, my brother.
Okay, so there's only 4 of you.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Because when Ty was on one of our episodes, everyone's like, oh man, you're hunting with Land of the Free. Well, Ty, he wanted a real job.
He went
and got a paycheck.
Had to move to
Montana.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, guy.
He was another one that got invited on the Land of the Free, and he had the unlimited sheep tag or something like that.
Yeah.
So
wow. Yeah, he's not all right. So anyone who hangs out with you guys know.
We do know.
Yeah, and you guys would invite him again.
We did.
Wow. He's asking when he's coming hunting with us again. I'm like, I don't know, man. You put me on the spot with some really inappropriate questions, Ty.
Inappropriate? So you have hunted with Ty?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, did he just say that? So. You guys, what do you got planned for this year? Or can you let the cat out of the bag?
Oh, yeah. Everything. We don't have any secrets ever. We're going to do it again.
2.0.
Cool. Yeah. If the marriage can handle it, we're going to do it again. No, we've got clearance. We've got clearance to.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's going to be a little bit of different personalities this time. We're going to hunt with Go Hunt, Lorenzo and Trail. Mm-hmm. They're going to come. They had a bunch of. Okay, I got to divulge a little bit. They wanted in, and we said, yeah, let's see how we can make this work and everything. And then someone says, Lorenzo's like, I got a bunch of Wyoming points. I said, good, we're going to Wyoming. So I'm going back. I get to go back to Wyoming with those guys.
So you're saying that anyone listening, if they have a lot of points,
there's a good chance you could be in next year.
And they offer to do a party application.
Yeah. Oh, just,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, so Trent gets to go back to Wyoming where he killed his first 6-point bull
Yeah.
last
Cool.
year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
It was awesome. It was incredible.
So with the OnX guys, are they going to give your GPS coordinates or anything? I mean, the audience wants to know, what drainage was this?
Oh,
Right.
yeah. I'll divulge everything on Snapchat or YouTube and Instagram.
Right down to the coordinates.
Everything.
So
Everything.
strategically, when you show the OnX, you put your thumb on the top right corner and
Yeah.
you zoom in enough. There's no creek name.
Yeah. What we do is we just take screenshots of Colorado when we're showing
Not a bad
a hunt
idea.
in Wyoming or
I
something.
love it.
So it's funny, and you guys might do this too, but I shouldn't say this. Some people are going to be so pissed because they think they know where we're hunting, but we will go and take scenics of someplace 100 miles away, and we'll put those scenics in the episode. And I'll use an example around Bozeman. I don't bear hunt the highlight drainage, but we have so much. I have a film permit I can go there anytime, and it's only 5 miles from my house.
Gotcha.
We have every Montana hunt we do, you'll see some highlight drainage footage in there, and we'll do a bear hunt or something, and people are like, I know exactly where you're at.
Yeah.
Or someone will come and say, you son of a blank, that's where I hunt.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, whatever. So
Yeah.
your decoy rig you were talking about,
Yeah.
we got decoy footage.
Decoy footage.
Yeah.
Oh, we had people not texting, but emailing us. Oh, I know where you guys hunt and all this. Well, there was one guy where we had this one frame, and he freeze framed the YouTube episode and everything, and I forget if we were packing meat or wherever it was. Anyway, and there was just some hills. It wasn't even mountains. It was just kind of a knoll in the background. He had the same exact picture of him in the last spring standing in the same spot. It was exactly.
It was to a T.
To a T, and we're like, yeah, you kind of do know where we're at then on that one. So
No, it's a tough thing. It's the right balance, right? I mean, our whole thing is encouraging people to get out there and do it.
Big time.
And, I had a guy approach us at the Portland Sportsman Show, and he was like, I can't believe you're showing all the secrets of Roosevelt hunting and calling, and now there's just going to be people everywhere out there calling and calling and calling. I'm like, and he was mad about it. You're going to have all these rookies. And I said, when you started hunting,
Right.
Exactly. I was like, what gives you the power or the right to think that you have a priority over the public, going and doing that?
Yeah.
And I would rather have someone, because if we don't have younger people doing this, what's going to be like in 40 years?
Yeah.
That's our whole, you got to encourage participation in it. So
Yeah, well, what I've found is if you're doing it in their backyard, you're ruining something. But if that same person sees you doing it in Arizona or Colorado, that's advice and information.
Yeah.
So it's all relative to where, if I go to Southeast Montana, I feel like I'm in danger of getting my butt whooped because I tell people, I hunt Southeast Montana and I've done 2 deer episodes over there. Well, everyone in Southeast Montana hates Randy Newberg.
Really?
Oh, yeah, that's where most of my hate mail comes from.
Really?
But these same people, when I'm talking about how you can draw a late rifle tag for elk in Arizona, that's advice.
Yeah.
So it just comes with territory.
Right.
So,
We're tribal people, right?
yeah. So however it works out. I mean, now all the Southeast Montana guys are real. When they hear this podcast, they're like, "We are coming to whoop his ass." No,
what's your address?
Yeah, they're good guys. They just give me a pretty hard ride. But you guys, it doesn't surprise me that you guys have had some of that same thing.
Yeah, it's been, on it, the cool thing, YouTube, if you get on there in general and look, it's like the trash of trash comments. Most of the people, it's a tear down. And the positivity that people commented, there's only a handful of comments through thousands on the channel, which is really encouraging.
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
Yeah, I've got 3 people who hate me. I can tell because the first 3 things that happen when my YouTube videos go up, I get 3 thumbs down. That video could be about the Pope and Mother Teresa saving starving puppies, and it would still get 3 people who give me the thumbs down.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one guy emailed me. He said, every video you post, I'm giving you a thumbs down. I'm like, knock yourself out.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Crabs in a bucket.
Yeah.
Appreciate the view, man.
Thanks for spending the time.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, that's funny. So that's what you guys are doing again this year. All the draws aren't out, so you don't know exactly what states, but so you got Wyoming.
So that's what was the whole thing with the drawing. Most of it we did last year. That was what we wanted to kind of tell everybody that anybody
Over
can
the
do
counter.
it. So we went over the counter with almost we went over. Yeah, obviously you can't in Wyoming.
Right.
But we
Bought
did
a leftover in Montana.
Montana, Colorado, Idaho over the counter, and Oregon over the counter.
Wow.
So it was all general. Anybody can do it. It's not a special, not a, you have to have 100 points. It's just, all just go out and do it.
So
Cool.
we'll start in Oregon. Kenton from First Light's coming out, and then Casey at Hush, and then Ben O'Brien from Yeti. So we're gonna take and do the Roosevelt gig again. Hopefully, get into the swamp and get a. That's the thing. Like last year, you couldn't have scripted it. Here we start a 50-day adventure, right?
Right.
And on day one, Casey shoots a bull at 6 yards in the You couldn't have planned it.
No.
I mean, it was a pretty amazing.
Pretty amazing.
I saw that one, and I'm like, man.
Oh, the look he gave me. The bull was coming in silent, and you could just hear sticks break. And I'm like, Casey, draw. And he draws his bow, and it's super steep right there. And so he's kind of like looking at the top of the trees. I'm like, the bull's going to come in right down here. So he looks back at me like, there's no way I'm going to get a shot at this thing. And like, it's going to come out right there. And it did. It was 6 yards, just comes out, peeks around the stump. And
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you guys invited me, and I was too busy. I had my chance.
Can't hold it against us, right?
No. My loss, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot more time.
So then we'll take off, from there, go to Colorado. Jason Phelps, Nick Schmidt there, and then Dirk Durham is going to come down. That's probably going to be the funniest elk camp I've ever experienced.
Oh, really?
Oh, my goodness.
You're going to put that one on the comedy channel.
Yeah, well, Trent and Dirk are like stepbrothers. I mean, like the cast from Step Brothers. They are constantly...
we get along pretty well.
Yeah. Then we mix Jason in the mix. And then from there, we're actually going to split because of the calendar-wise, learning from Montana, going after, late in October is kind of tough. So Trevor and I put in for Montana, so we'll find out here soon. But
Monday.
Draw. Is that Monday?
Monday.
Okay. And then BMAC will be there from Hush. And then Trent and Lorenzo and Trail will go hunt that September 10th through the 20th.
In Wyoming.
Yeah.
Cool.
Then we'll jump back from there back to Idaho.
Yep.
Yeah. With Pure Elevation, EXO crew.
Yeah.
Finish it up.
So,
go home October 1st.
Not ever having hunted Roosevelts.
Yeah.
Do you guys hunt Roosevelts different than you hunt Rockies?
Nope.
Same?
Nothing's different.
Yeah.
No.
Really?
From opening morning on August 25th, we will be bugling 200 times a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's, I think the thing about Roosevelt's, I would rather try to call a Roosevelt bull in any day over
Any
Rocky.
day.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Incredibly territorial. They are.
They're a lot fewer and far between, if that's a word.
Yeah.
Far? Yeah. Anyway, they're a long ways in between them.
Lower density, we'll call
Yeah,
that.
Yes.
lower density, and then the terrain kind of dictates what the sound. So it's so broke up, it's so thick. Sound, you can't get in a canyon and bugle into a canyon and have a bull crash. I mean, you can, but generally speaking, you just have to cover a lot more ground.
Okay.
And it's not these big mountain ranges in these basins. It's all broke up. You've got ridges running all over the place. So you just have to basically check every box as you're hunting through to find them. But when you do find one, if you got the wind in your face, a good chance you're going to be able to call the bull in. And most, they come to fight, and it's,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yep.
And like Cody's, I killed my first 6-point this year, but before that, it was, we've killed 4 points, like small, like you would pass up, I'm sure. And
No, I don't pass up out.
They come in screaming, ripping everything up. They think
king of the
they're
mountain.
something else.
And they're a 2.5-year-old bull.
And they're a 2.5-year-old bull.
Yep.
Huh.
Young and not giant, but giant enough.
Yeah, they mean business.
And
Absolutely.
the cool thing, I think, is it is so thick, they have the appearance that it's going to be an elk. So most of the time that we've never scouted a bull that we've killed, and a lot of times we've never seen that bull until you're at full draw at 20 yards.
Whoa.
It's not like you glass them up, and then we kind of stay away from the clear cut stuff, hunt timber and reprod, and so most of the time you just hear them, and you literally never know what it's going to be when it steps out.
Because all the footage I've watched of you guys on these Rosies, a 20-yard shot seems like it'd be a long shot in that stuff.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Average is, I would say, 25 and under.
Yeah.
A lot of times, depending on,
It
but
just looks so thick.
It's thick.
It's like, how do you see anything? How do you get a shooting lane?
It's like there's, a lot of that private timber company, they went through with the Spotted Owl Act, they had to do thin timber. And so like that second growth thin timber, the 40 to 60 year old stuff, that's like our dream. We always try to like get them going in that stuff. And inevitably ends up in 15-year-old reprod, and you're covered in fir needles and you're crawling through.
That was what was crazy when we got to Montana. Eric from Onyx, we get in a setup and we had this bull going, or bugle, and he goes, I don't know, it's pretty thick. And I look back at him and I'm like, I can see 150 yards. This is not thick. I mean, this is way further than I can shoot. Oh, it was a little different.
So, yeah. When that season opened, you guys were bugling like crazy in August.
Yes.
Even that early, is that?
And they may not be turned on. So our whole motto with how we hunt is we're not looking for a bunch of bulls. We may pass up that we don't see because it's so thick. We may go by 5 or 10 bulls. We don't know, but we're looking for that one that wants to play the game that we're used to, which is bugling and calling. And and so we probably blow out a lot more elk than probably should, obviously, but we're just looking for that one that's in that mood that wants to play the game that we kind of go after. So,
and if like the bullet case that you killed week last, saw some elk and slipped over there and cow called that bull in.
Okay,
but like I said, most of the time we don't.
Then with Rockies, everyone would be like, August 25th, that's a little early,
right?
But.
Well, when we went to Wyoming with Kody, I mean, the opener was September 1st, and bull screaming opening day. I mean, crazy.
Yeah. Kody, I'm like a bad plague. I've been trying to, I hunted 2 years in a row with Kody, and now he won't return my call. He just stuck his head in the door here a little bit ago and like, Newberg's there, and he turned around and left.
Yeah. If he saw me, he probably ran too.
I offered to buy his tag. I've offered, and he's like, well, I'm kind of busy. I offered him to be on this podcast here, and he's like, well, I'm kind of busy. What's he busy? I saw him shed hunting for antlers the other day. What the hell is that?
Wolf management, that was a pretty cool.
Yeah, he did a really cool thing there. I like that. But to you guys, so our YouTube channel, I got kind of, what would I say, heavily influenced or talked into it or encouraged is probably the best word by Casey.
Absolutely.
At Hushin.
And Brian, yeah.
Yeah, those guys came up to Bozeman, and I've told this story on the podcast before. They said, Randy, just go do it.
Yeah.
And if you are authentic and sincere and you work at it, you make it part of your daily job. Don't think you just throw it up there and walk away and say, oh, gee, I didn't
do it for a month and then.
Yeah. So you guys see yourself on YouTube forever then? Because there was a time where you guys went to one of the networks for a little while, for a season, I think it was.
Yeah, Sportsman's. Not necessarily YouTube, the digital platform, I guess, per se. We use it as a distribution channel. I mean, it's our own network.
Right.
With what's going on with YouTube and the censorship, and I mean, we had a video that got demonetized, snow goose hunting, because it had extended magazines. It
was legal.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it's like I'm not married to YouTube. I'm married, like the audience, the community we've built. So if something else comes up that is a better suit, then that's how we'll distribute it. But the ability to upload whatever we want, whenever we want, and have that community build, like we'll use that for sure.
Huh.
What's the Amazon Prime? How do you feel about that?
Oh man,
love it.
I love it. Amazon. When we left TV January 1st of this year, I was worried about, is Amazon's universe really as big as they say it is? Because we threw our first older episodes up on Amazon Prime in September of last year. So we had about 4 months of just kind of experimenting.
Oh, yeah.
And it was really, really good. And I thought, wow, this is just, the first spike. Everybody's kind of in love with you, and then it's going to piddle away. No. The Amazon universe is as big as advertised.
Really?
In Q1, and I said this on a recent podcast, Q1 of 18, if you take total minutes streamed and you multiply that by the number of views you get on TV in a year, and the average view length on TV to convert TV to total minutes viewed. We got more minutes viewed in Q1 of 18 on Amazon than the whole year on TV in 2017.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. And you guys know how it works in TV, right? We got to write them a check.
Yeah. No, it cost us.
That's what I saw that racket writing on the wall after year one. I'm like, no.
Yeah. So I think because we've talked about it enough that a lot of our listeners understand that the way the outdoor TV model works is if you're the producer, you go to the network and you write them a check to distribute your show. And the pricing is based on what air times you want, how many airings a week, whether it's a high view quarter, like quarters 3 and 4 versus lower viewing quarters of quarters 1 and 2.
How many commercial assets?
How many commercial units you want to resell to your sponsor. So there's this whole matrix of what the check ends up, but it's never a small check.
No.
I've told people, just so they understand the scope of it, that the least I've ever paid a network was $50,000 a year. Yeah. The most I ever paid them when I thought, well, I got to be on 4 times a week and I need, this and that, and was $180,000 a year. Well, when you sit down and write that check every month to the network, it's like, man, this is worse than working for a bank. You know? This does not make any sense.
And you don't own the content.
Yeah, you don't own the content, and then it's interrupted. It's, you
can't only watch it certain times of the day.
Right. Your audience has to sit through because the network owns a bunch of the commercial units also. So they tell you got to have a break at the 5-minute to 7-minute mark. You got to have another break at the 10 to 12-minute mark. And then they throw all these commercials in there. So your audience is like, I don't want to sit here and watch all these commercials. Where on Amazon, it's just however, just watch it, be done. And it streams in high def, whereas the networks in a lot of rural areas can't push it out in high def. And then for us, like, the very first, we just threw up season 6. One episode is we turned on the lights, and it's a New Mexico elk hunt, and that one is 34 minutes long. Whereas
I got 22,
TV,
20,
it's you
22 and a half or whatever it is.
And you're paying someone to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
So now my son's moose hunt that's going to be up there. Well, the next one is going to be Marcus's Wind River hunt. In Wyoming. I think that one is 35 or 36 minutes long. And then my son's moose hunt in Montana is almost 40 minutes long. Mm-hmm. And wow. If that's what the story deserves, do it.
No, that's what we were, we envision the 50 videos being between, 11 to 17 minutes. I don't think we have a single episode that's that short over the 50 days, because it's like we told the story from waking up and the boots are frozen to it's 2 a.m. and we're just going to bed. So there's a lot of days that it was 50 minutes, hour and 6. And the consumption was unbelievable. Like how people watched an hour every single day.
And then the comments too. Like if we had like a 25, 30-minute episode. No, we want them longer. It was only a day. There's nothing happened. We heard one bull bugle across the way, and that's about it. So I mean, it was every day was totally different. Totally different.
That's the beauty of the digital platforms like this podcast. When we started this podcast in the summer of 2015, the traditional logic was 1 hour.
Okay, gotcha.
60 minutes.
Cut it down.
And so you're almost like watching the record time like, we're getting close to an hour. Better shut it down so I can leave 2 minutes for some commercial slots in there. And people are like, no, make it longer. Okay, so I went to like an hour and 20 minutes. No, make it longer. All right, so I went to an hour and a half. Make it longer. So now all of us are between 2 hours and 2 hours and 15 minutes on the podcast. I'm like, people really want to listen to Randy Newberg lie and tell BS for that long. What do they have as a daily life that I have anything that they would listen to? But
I think it's cool. I commend you just, going from the traditional media to digital space, now having audio, forum, what you've done on your platform has been, you've touched so many people. And I mean, I don't know how many people we've talked to is, reference you and going out west, and the information you've provided, it's been top notch. So,
well, thanks. We
off.
try hard. I can't say that.
Done a great job.
I tell people that if the advice works out, we'll take credit for it. If my advice doesn't work out, we have a disclaimer that we're not responsible.
Nothing.
So. But no, it's an interesting time because all these digital platforms talk to each other. Like if someone's downloading this podcast, they're already on a device where they could quickly jump to our YouTube channel or our Amazon channel or the Hunt Talk forum or whatever. Whereas TV is just like this clunky, disconnected.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Try doing DVDs.
That's what we started out as our idea.
Yeah.
We were going to do a DVD series called On Your Own Adventures.
And crush it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was like, may as well just go sell buggy whips or something.
That's we started doing that in 2007. The guy that taught me how to edit, he goes, "Hey man, there's this thing called YouTube. You got to put up webisodes." I'm like, "How do you compete with funny cat videos?" I mean, that's what YouTube was, right?
Right.
And I
Man,
mean,
if we would have taken his advice.
I know.
Oh, man.
Well, for us, Amazon is really turning out to be something good.
That's awesome.
And so the way that we're kind of looking at our digital platforms is Amazon is the place we put what I'll call our highly polished, like TV style stuff. Where in the other beauty of all these digital platforms, and you guys can see it on YouTube, you can tell what device they're watching.
Oh, man.
You can see what hour of the day. You can, it's
their
real
age,
time.
male, female, everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
So all of you people who are employers of my audience, I'm not responsible for that half hour at 8 o'clock every morning where my YouTube channel gets this huge spike. People come to work, turn on the computer, and you can tell they're like,
Oh, you should have heard that. I've had 3 so far, and they were cops. Man, when I get to work, I just turn on your guys. Wow. That's where the money's going.
Yeah. And so those analytics are so good. TV can't provide you any of that.
No.
And TV's shrinking. And I don't mean to bash TV because TV's always going to have its place. Just like everyone said that print was going to go away. No, print is still here. It's going to have its place. But for us and what we do, I think part of it is being a CPA. I'm really into numbers and analytics and stuff like that. And so I look at that stuff in a really dramatic way or important way to look at the dramatic changes. And one of the big changes is we can look at viewing devices. I don't know, you people sitting here, how many of you have a smart TV? Everybody, almost everyone raised their hand. And I don't know if you guys see it on your channel, but on Friday evenings, smart TVs go from being my number 3rd used device to my number 1 used device. Mm-hmm. And it stays that way until Sunday night. And then it goes back to desktop computers and smartphones the rest of the week. Yeah. All I can figure is guys are, you know what, I got the lawn mowed, I got the wood split, whatever, kick back in the recliner.
Crack a cold one and watch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's, I didn't quite realize too, I was on the app the other day with YouTube and I had a screen share. And I was like, hit the button, literally popped right up on my TV and what I was watching right there, just like that. It's like, oh.
Yeah, and in Amazon, and back to how we use each digital platform differently, Amazon smart TVs are our number 1 device by a mile. So,
really?
Yeah, we're thinking
makes sense,
that Amazon is more of this traditional, like we're saying, sit back, crack a beer, and watch, just have this high quality viewing experience. I mean, I watch it on Amazon, and I'm like, I wish that this would have been available a long time ago because it's completely uninterrupted, and just the quality of the viewing experience is so much better than TV. And you know, some of the pushback against that as well, sponsors aren't going to want to fund that because they don't get a 30-second commercial. Those of you who have TV, did you ever watch a 30-second commercial? Everyone's shaking their head like, no, I got better things to do, right? I'm going to DVR it and I'm going to buzz through that 30-second commercial. So Amazon does not allow any overt advertising.
Okay.
Well, if you hunt hard, I don't think you need advertising because people see that, hey, you know what? They're using that backpack or these boots or this tent or whatever. And I think my viewer is astute enough and smart enough that they're checking that stuff out. I don't need to stand there and have
Absolutely.
oh, if it wasn't for this blah, 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 I wouldn't have killed that bull elk today. I mean, give me a break. I'm not going to insult anybody and waste their time doing that. But
Totally.
that's, I don't know, it's just a changing model. And I'm kind of old and gray and wrinkled. I'm trying to keep up with technology and where it's going, but you younger guys, yeah.
I think, too, it goes, well, without saying, too, and you mentioned a little bit ago, you know, from Casey and B-Mac and Eric and stuff from Hush. I mean, they were the ones that inspired us, too. So, I mean, a big shout out to them for taking that leap first. I mean, they were kind of the first ones in the industry that really did it, and got you on board right afterwards, and then us, you know, and so I mean, big shout out to them. I would say.
Yeah. The cool thing is Casey's like, I've told 150 people how to do YouTube. He goes, the only 2 people that actually took my advice was you and Randy Newberg.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, Casey, people don't know this, but Casey and his family was extremely successful on YouTube outside of the hunting world. And so I tend to listen to people who've been there, done that.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like elk hunting. That's why I want to hang around with you guys. I want to go with someone who's been there, done that. But
We'll show you how to push a mountain bike in the mountains in Oregon.
I don't do bikes.
We pull llamas.
There you go.
Right?
I'll bring my llamas and we'll do it that way. Not my llamas, Bo's llamas.
So you rent them?
Yeah.
That seems like.
Well, but Bo, last year, his prices were so cheap. I'm like, how do you make any money out this?
Well, Ty calls me just the other day. He's like, hey, Trent, I've been looking on Craigslist, and there's llamas all over. And I'm like, llamas all over? What do you? Yeah, you guys are living in a place where there's a bunch of llamas. And I'm thinking, okay, cool. And he was talking to me about, you know, buying llamas. He wants to buy these llamas. And I said, well, just go buy one. You know, what does it cost? You know, right. He's like, well, a good llama, you know, $10,000. And I said, $10,000 for a llama? No way. And so I didn't believe it. And I guess they are $10,000 for like a 4-year-old llama or something.
Right.
Good pack.
A trained, high quality pack llama.
Oh.
Yeah.
He doesn't charge that.
But last year, Bo's rates were so low. I'm like, Bo, I am not going to use your llamas, integrate them in my content unless you promise me you're going to raise these prices, because this is ridiculous.
How many does he have? Does he have a bunch of them?
He's got 150 llamas at his farm.
Wow.
Where's he based at?
Packable? Like,
Idaho Falls.
Oh, okay.
So
they're ready to go?
not all of them. Some of them are females.
So you only use the males?
only use the males.
Okay.
And I was just there a little while ago. It is crazy. So anyhow, I told Bo, you're going to have to raise your prices. And so he raised his prices a little bit. I don't even know what the dollar amount is, but it was pathetic how inexpensive it was. And I hope, and I told him that I wasn't going to be his friend anymore unless he doubled his price. So I don't know if he got around to doubling it. But even if he doubled it, it's still the deal of the century. Because
that sounds more appealing, because I already feed 2 horses all year round.
Oh.
My wife's... Yeah, so I know what that's all about.
Yeah, and you vet them. So
wow.
It's a game changer.
Really?
At least for me. Now, I'm sure other people are like, no, I'll keep my horses or I'll continue to pack them out on my back, and that's all fine. But you reach a point in your life where if I only hunted for one trip a year,
Right. Different story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But by the time it's December and I've been on the road for 100 days, sleeping in tents and eating crappy meals and hiking 8-10 miles a day with I don't know what your packs weigh. I'd guess with all of our cameras and production gear and spare batteries and everything, I think if I put my pack on a scale, it's at least 30 pounds.
That's for day.
That's really light, I would say.
Heavy for a day pack without a camp.
Oh, without camp and everything? Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
But, by the time you got water, you got food, you got extra clothes, you got spotting scope, you got tripods, and the weight of the pack itself is probably pushing 30 pounds. And I'm carrying that all year round. I'm not that excited about packing another elk out on my back come about December 1st.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
I'm just getting old and lazy. I don't know how else to say it. So you guys bugle a lot.
Lots.
because the audience often asks me is like, do you bugle or do you cow call? Well, I'm like so far below average at everything I do. I'm probably even further below average when it comes to calling elk, which is why when I hunt with Kody, I just leave my bugle in the truck. It's like, 10-time or whatever world elk calling champion. Why are you going to...
He's decent.
It's pretty solid.
Yeah. He's decent. Yeah.
But I notice you guys bugle as much as he does.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was the cool thing is like with hunting with all these different groups, the hunting styles, we were most like hunting with Donnie and Dirk and Kody. Like that style is just cover country, bugle, 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 fish for the biter. One cracks off, you go after him.
Yeah.
So like Trent said before, you can screw up a cow call very easily and blow the whole herd up. And for the most part on a bugle, I mean, just trying to sound as real as possible. So people like, oh, I don't want to have a big bugle. I want to sound like a little rag bull. For us, I want to sound like a bull. And so I'm going to scream and flip ball and chuckle and do the whole gambit, just like a bull out there is going to do it. And so, yeah, we're not afraid to bugle at all.
No, I've noticed that.
Numerous times.
Always carry chapstick 'cause my lip hurts from,
Oh.
Trevor, we get in the high elevation,
trick.
and Trevor, a couple times he nearly passed out just from bugling.
I got a headache.
Oh, really?
Yeah, bugling so much, just he had to sit down and. Oh yeah, I'm not kidding you.
I mean, realistically, 200, 300 times a day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
And, it's like, if it's falling on deaf ears, what does it matter if you bugle? If it's not there, it's like you just move on.
Everybody asks us, how many big bucks do you guys see on your elk? We don't see any deer at all. We've got them blown out way before we get there.
Well, a lot of people are like, well, what if you're walking past elk and you aren't going after them? And I always use my fishing analogy. So my wife is a fanatic walleye fisherman.
Right.
And so we fish walleyes all summer. And I'll see him on my electronics. There's fish down below me. Well, I give them about 5 minutes. If they don't bite, I say they're carp and I move on to the next spot.
Exactly what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Any fish that doesn't want to bite, I call them carp and I move to the next spot. I want to fish where the fish want to bite.
Yep. 100%.
Looking for a biter.
And so if I walk past an elk that doesn't want to play, guess what? I'm going to look for the one who wants to play.
Yep.
Someday this guy will want to play and I'll come back.
Same exact thing that we do.
I know. I learned the hard way. You can waste a lot of time.
That's just it. I mean, you're limited. I mean, daylight, and you just got to keep going until you find the one.
Yeah. So you guys have built a lot of advocacy for public lands and doing all this.
It's been amazing. Yeah, it's been awesome. The emails, like as the project, we started the project out and we get 1 or 2 emails a day and we thought that was cool. It's just like awesome. People are starting to, by the end of the project, we were getting like 150 emails a day. And I was just constantly doing this and I'm thinking, wow, and a lot of them were, about public lands and where can I get signed up for this and how can I participate, which was really cool. And then turning them back to backcountry hunters and anglers. And then it's been neat, the neat cycle of the whole thing.
The energy, that's the cool thing here. Like the energy here, the people so excited on advocacy and how people can get involved, and the people here is just amazing.
Yeah, I get to go to all the national conventions for everything, and the one where it's most laid back, just cool people who just want to talk about public lands and conservation is this backcountry hunters rendezvous. Is the one and
it's getting giant every year. It's giant. Man. Last night, did you see all those people?
Yeah.
It was awesome.
I remember one time at Spokane, I said, well, I'll buy the beer. I'm glad I wasn't buying the beer tab last night.
Could you imagine?
I'd have my wife calling me this morning. What was that $30,000 charge on the credit card from last night?
That'd be more than that. Yeah.
But that's one of the things I love about what you guys are doing is the whole public land, the connection to anyone can do this. And Kody, you were talking about your why for your business plan. When we started our business plan that I built in 2008, so it's 10 years old now. So many pieces and features of that have changed, but the why has never changed. And the why is to promote self-guided public land hunting and create advocates for that cause. And so when I see other people creating advocates and doing what you guys are doing, I'm like, yeah,
right,
cool, man, keep going. How can we all be working on this together? And I guess one of the things I liked about
the approach you guys took is you don't have, I'm sure you have some competitive spirit in your bodies, but as far as business competition or feeling like, oh, I own this, I own that, you guys don't come across as being super possessive of anything. Other than maybe your hunting spots, right?
Yeah. Even in that, though, I mean, it gets to where you run into someone out there, and usually we hunt deep enough in there that if we see someone, it's awesome to see somebody, you know, in the end, to share that with them. And we ran into a bunch of people this year that we actually not knew, but they knew of us and everything. And so we could share, you know, kind of a camp with them a little bit. And it was cool. It was really, really cool. I mean, we're all hunters, right? I mean, we want to see everybody succeed. That's our goal.
Right.
We don't have to be the ones that kill it all the time or whatever.
And that's
biggest or whatever.
Mean, for us, the brotherhood of what we've experienced, and you know, it's like we have this around the campfire, but we want to have that shared through the video, and you know, having people have their own group, and you know, and if we don't like inspire the next generation, it's like, where's this thing going?
Yeah. You know how funny it is for me to hear you guys talk about the next generation, and I'm 20 years older than you guys.
Yeah.
You guys make me feel like really, really old. But I guess it's all relative. What's the next generation for you guys? The teenagers?
Millennials and stuff. I mean, that's under us.
Yeah,
we just got out of that. That's missed that boat. But yeah, the video game generation. I don't know. You know, it's like it's.
So Trent, you told me you were a timber faller.
Yes.
Okay. So my brother's still a logger. I grew up in a logging family. Fortunately, I was the worst logger in the entire lineage of the family. And my dad said, "Son, I don't have any money to pay for college, but as bad as you are at logging, I suggest you go that direction." So my brother is a logger, and a lot of times people, and this gets into a bit of a political thing, is people are like, well, you come from a logging family. How can you be all about this public land stuff?
Right.
Or how can you hang out with those backcountry hunter and angler guys and whatever? You ever get any of that kind of...
Not too bad. I mean, I've listened to some of your podcasts about your background too and stuff before, but I mean, I think people... Maybe a while back they did, but now there's so much more. I don't know. I think that people understand now that it takes law. It's a step, right? I mean, It's not like, okay, no logging. I mean, I think in moderation, anything, you know, it's good. Everything is good in moderation, and that's what I think people have understood now with logging and the whole farming and stuff. Like, I think
there's a balance.
There's a definite balance.
The hard part, I mean, Elliott State Forest,
right?
So
in Oregon,
it's in our backyard,
right? It's a state forest, not a national forest.
Correct.
No.
Yeah, state owned. So it was the school fund.
Right. It has to be managed for a profit for your school system.
Correct. Yes.
Through environmental law or lawsuits, logging slowed down. I mean, Trent's. They
were in the trees. They climbed the trees, and it was so bad. It was terrible. There was a bunch of people from liberal cities around, I'll not mention, but yeah, they got up in the trees, and then they took a school bus up there, and they tipped the school bus over in the road, and it was just a mess, and there was garbage everywhere. Destroyed the forest.
They had no respect for
because they were there to keep the logging. From happening.
Yes, to keep the logging.
So it goes into a deficit every year now. Goes to basically for sale for private timber for private to go to private. So now it's the case of, you know, state control shifting to private. Interesting enough, my wife worked for the company that won the bid on the Elliott State Forest.
Okay.
So it's like, for me, it's a very, like, for me, I support logging and the balance of that. So I understand it has to go, in order for them to avoid the lawsuits, it has to go to private, but then it's going to be public access. It was a really hard thing to kind of like be around and involved. I mean, I supported the sale of the Elliott because understanding that it would actually open up access, the logging side of it. But then again, you're like, man, that's like against what I want to see. It was a very sticky situation.
Yeah.
I mean,
so what was the end resolution to the Elliott?
It's still up in, I think they sold half to the tribe or some of it.
Well, no, it ended up, so the timber company met every stipulation of the sale.
Yeah.
And then at the very last minute, the governor, Kate Brown, vetoed it, closed it down, and it's basically, I think they've ended up selling it to, it hasn't gone back, but they're trying to figure out how to generate revenue off it without logging. Okay. And so it's still in a weird situation.
It's a mess.
It's a lawsuit now from the,
Right.
it's
So for the listeners, like where I grew up in Minnesota, and we did this on a podcast a couple podcasts ago about how some states are way different than the western states. The western states, your state lands are controlled by your land board, not your DNR, not your fish and game agency.
right.
And in the western states, those lands have to produce and generate a profit.
Correct.
Most of the states have either constitutional or other statute that says if it's not profitable, you got to get rid of it. So in this case, when the Elliott becomes unprofitable because people rolling school buses in the way of you guys or climbing trees or whatever, or lawsuits, now the Elliott is nothing but a liability.
Right.
Correct.
And that's the thing. It's like, in the end, the environmental group kind of won the battle of, they stopped it from logging, and then so it's like a double-edged sword, right?
Right.
Because then they won't, they wanted nobody to be on it. They just wanted to be this free and natural land where you didn't manage and they could just go on it anytime they wanted. Well, when it went to private, timber company, they shut it down. Now they not only did they not do what they were trying to do, they're going to log it anyway.
Right.
And now they can't even go on it and frolic or whatever they want to do. So it's like, it's different. They didn't really accomplish anything.
The frolicking state forest. That paints an interesting image, right? No frolicking. Instead of no motorized vehicles, there's a sign right at the trailhead, no frolicking.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part. Knowing this, if it goes from federal to state, generally, like you said, chances are it's going to go to private at one point. So the state transfer is not a good idea. It's trying to find that right balance, and
No, I've watched it closely because to me it's the classic example of if you don't have some common sense to this, these state lands, you're going to lose them.
Yeah.
Because by statute, they're going to get sold. And I don't care if it's timber, if it's grazing, if it's whatever that generates the revenue. If those lands aren't generating revenue, they're going to get sold. And then you got, like in Oregon, you guys have pretty good state land access rules where most of your state trust lands you guys can access, correct?
Yep,
Yeah.
correct. Yeah. Almost everything for hunting.
Whereas then you got states like Colorado where you got to, whoever the lessee is, you got to work through them. You state trust lands in Colorado.
And then like New Mexico, you can't even camp on state ground.
New Mexico and Wyoming, you can't camp on them, but you can hunt on them. So every state's got these really quirky things. Whereas a lot of people in the Midwest, their state lands are owned by their DNR, which is also their fish and game agent. Their DNR is the big umbrella for multiple things: fish and game, forestry, blah, blah, blah. And so they can access all their state lands. So they struggle to understand, well, why do you Westerners have an aversion against state ownership of these federal lands? Right. Well, because you got states like Colorado who say, too bad.
Right. And then, then you get in the political mix of big government and localized government. And it's like...
Yeah, it's not easy at all. And if people would exercise a little more common sense...
That's pretty much in life, though.
Yeah, my wife reminds me, a little common sense applied there, you probably wouldn't have had that happen to you, Randy. My wife should host this podcast.
It'd be good. Have you ever podcasted her?
No, I've tried.
You should.
I don't know how your wives are, but I've tried to have her on camera before.
No,
running.
No.
Yeah. The camera crew comes over to the shop or to my Randy room and we film something. And if she thinks that camera was turned on when she was anywhere nearby, she'll call me, get that video card from that guy, and I want to delete that.
Yeah.
No, honey, we need that footage. Well, if that shows up anywhere, you're going to need a divorce attorney. Her way of always threatening me.
Threatening you.
Yeah, but she's not serious. I mean, I look at the stuff I get by with.
I was going to say,
She's stuck
You're doing
with
fairly
me.
well.
Yeah.
how many times you coming home in that 100 days?
I try to get home at least 1 weekend a month. But if we can have hunts in Montana, usually I can, make it longer windows. I would say I try to be home a week a month that covers at least one weekend, just to, get the variety of whatever things are available.
So that's
to
good.
do.
I mean, you do get home a little bit then.
Right.
That's nice.
Yeah. Oh,
That's nice.
Yeah, but you know how it is. You call home and the dishwasher broke and the dog ate
Everything
the
goes
door.
wrong when you're gone.
That's
everything.
Yeah, I know. And she says that, it doesn't snow until you leave. Well, yeah, that's kind of the case because it starts snowing in October or November, and yeah, that's when I'm gone.
Yeah.
Me being gone isn't what caused the snowstorm.
No.
So even if I would
To them, maybe.
yeah. And I made the dumb mistake of saying, well, even if I was home, it still would have snowed. And she says, yeah, but you could have went and done the snow.
Then you don't got nothing there.
Yeah, or the neighbor's dog came over and killed their pet rabbit.
Boy.
You name it. If you're on the road long enough, you're going to find all kinds of crazy things that go wrong when you're on the road. But to my good fortune, she runs the Hunt Talk forum while I'm gone.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's cool.
She moderates everything. She takes care of all the messages, approves new members, and she's got a higher level of sensitivity than I do. So in the fall, when guys are getting carried away and using bad language, she's like moderating them. Get out of here. Get out of here. And then she manages my emails. And there are some people who have a really demented sense of humor. And they think they're sending me something that's funny, and they have no idea that my wife reads my emails.
Oh,
so, message to everybody. And I will email them back and say, my wife read this, and I'm sure they blush
Just
on the
a little
other
red
end.
face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but without her, there's no way that our operation would
And that's kind of the
go.
same way with us. I mean, we have a team of people. Trevor, Trevor handles like the DMs from Instagram. My wife usually handles the stuff on Facebook. I usually handle the emails. Kody handles all the business stuff side of things, and then we both handle content and editing. It's like a community, right? You got to have that with so many people commenting on different forums. If you tried to do them all, you'd never be able to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
Well, even the scarier part, we're looking at hiring somebody.
Uh-huh.
And, you sent me that resume over, and it's like, now.
Not his resume.
No, yeah.
No, right. Yeah, to clarify, Kody, my employees are like, Randy's looking to go to work for born and raised, huh?
No.
But
It's like bringing someone into this inner circle of trust and, family, and it's like, holy cow, that's a big decision.
yeah, but you get there, or else you don't have a life. And
No, there's definitely a balance, right? Especially with kids and the whole thing.
you guys do it with kids. My son is going to be 28 next month, so
That's not.
My son was 6 weeks old when I left last year for Land of the Free.
You are kidding me.
No, my daughter's two and
You act like he's a terrible parent.
Yeah.
And you are still married.
Yeah, she was a rock star.
At least when you left the other day, you were still married.
Right. No, so I didn't do
Wow.
Trent's the only one that did the full 50 days. I went home after Colorado, so I was gone for like 28 days, came home while he was in Idaho and through Montana, and then halfway through Montana, I came back up to Montana to join. But yeah, I mean, that's
Well, that's a better model that you guys got going. See, I rotate camera guys, but I got to do
you
them
do?
all. So
I
the
see.
camera guys get 2 hunts on, 1 hunt off, 2 hunts on, 1 hunt off. Whereas me, I'm there the whole time. I gotta figure out your gig, Kody.
That's why we're hiring you.
I need to. I'm looking out in the audience here. I think we got some candidates. Maybe I could hire them to run my operation,
Right.
and I could take some days off because it's just that's what. And now it makes sense because when my son was of the age your guys are, I wouldn't have been able to do the calendar I have now. for sure. It would just,
No,
I just wouldn't put my family
and we're married to
through
twin
that.
sisters, so there's, I mean, the family dynamic and the support when we're gone. They have each other, and the kids. It's a definitely a conglomeration of a group effort to make this happen.
Yeah.
And our kids are getting old. My son's, we just went on a goose hunt in South Dakota, and I got to take Wyatt, my son. He's 11 now. He'll be 12 in June, so he'll get to hunt this year.
Yeah.
So it's cool it'll be great to integrate that through too, and to be able to, spend more time. So
Yeah.
that'd be fun.
Well, I can assure you that the most valued and treasured days that you will spend are when your children go through that phase of doing it.
And Wyatt's
Totally agreed.
He's, I don't know, at the age of 8 or 9, he's been in some crazy elk hunts already.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been so fun.
He's seen more elk die than a lot of 11-year-olds.
Yeah. He had
Probably than a lot of 30-year-olds.
Yeah, he's seen
one
a few.
experience hunting in Oregon, that would have been 2015, I think, Labor Day weekend. We killed a bull on Saturday, I think Sunday, and then Monday he killed a bull, and Wyatt was right. I was calling. It was in that thick reprod, literally the last minutes of shooting light. So it's in a dark canopy. Bull comes in, and he's just coming down the hill. You just hear, and it's in such thick country, like branches are breaking the whole time. He comes in and just like 15 yards from Trent, and we're back like 10 yards from him, and Trent shoots this bull. I look over and his eyes are just like this. And I'm like, was that cool? He goes, I don't know. I think so. It's just like,
So we go to get him too. It gets dark, obviously, because you wait the appropriate time, and then Wyatt the whole time, Dad, maybe we should wait till tomorrow. Maybe we should wait till tomorrow and go out. He was adamant. The dark was probably not cool.
Fire-breathing dragon of that bull coming in was just insane. And yeah,
It was cool.
What if that thing gets up and comes after us, right?
It's bigger than us.
and we're on hands and knees in this. I mean, it was
it was thick.
a pretty neat experience though for him, I'm sure.
Oh, that's
But yeah, I'm
cool.
excited to do that and be able to, train him and it's going to be fun. It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, and then when they leave, my wife, after my son went off to college, I was moping around the house and in hunting season because my hunting partner's gone. She's like, what, do you got to rent a teenager in hunting season or what's the deal? So I've now, anyone who has teenagers, I'm like, they for rent for a weekend?
Yeah.
Go hunting
Little
with me?
mentorship.
That's cool.
So
That's
now
cool.
my nieces, I've applied them for tags. They're in their teens, and I enjoy it.
Yeah.
A ton of fun. Last night you saw a film from Gerald Martin in the film fest. We hunted with Gerald and his two boys last year, Timothy and Gareth, and to see them. And Timothy shot his second buck. Gareth shot his first buck. And
Nice.
I could tell how much it meant to that whole family. And it's kind of this weird dynamic. You don't want to impose on it, but yet you want to capture that amazing feeling and just let them do their thing. And it reminded me of just how much fun it is to hunt with kids.
It's special times. I mean, I still, the first elk hunt I've ever been on with my dad, I mean, I remember every detail about that entire day.
Yeah.
9 years old. I mean, yeah.
Well, that's why we do a lot of this. I mean, that's
Absolutely.
what gets me fired up. I'm at the point now where it's like, if I never shoot another animal, I've shot more than my share, probably more than I deserved. But why I come to BHA and other places and kind of try my best to promote the public land message is I just want the hurdles to be lower and lower, because it seems like just society itself, with development, with the busyness of society, the hurdles seem to be getting higher every year. And I feel that if I can use my platforms to just try keep those hurdles a little lower, more people are going to.
And that's just it. I mean,
do it.
I started out at 15 years old, started working in a bow shop. At that time, to buy a bow, to buy a camo, do all that, guy could get into it for $500, and get out the door and get into it. Now, it's an expensive deal. And I think a lot of people, especially now, there's so much information out there, they feel like they have to have this in order to go do that.
Yeah.
And it's like trying to break down the barrier of go do it, get the experience. Don't worry about, you have to have the lightest this or the newest of this. Go do it, grow from it, learn on your own of what, oh no, I don't need this or I want this, and just go experience it. And like people they live so much in this comfort zone, and like they have this fear of failure. And it's like, well, what is failure? You go out of state, you have this amazing experience, you see some elk or get on some elk, but you don't kill one. And they come home, people are like, oh, you didn't get one. Was that a failure? No. I mean, they went and garnered 10 days of backcountry experience and camped and, learned. So like our biggest thing is just that encouragement of get out there. And then all of a sudden they go do this and now their box is this big.
Right.
And then, it's no different than us in 2012 when we drove 1,200 miles through the night, rode in on mountain bikes, made our tent, got up the next morning and literally had a herd of elk run through our camp at daylight. And it was just like, whoa, this is mind blowing. And if we wouldn't have gone, we wouldn't have that experience and it wouldn't have been piqued our interest to go do more. And, it's one of those things like just push the boundaries, whatever you do in life. Work, family, whatever it is, like just grow and live. My buddy Tristan Bounds was here last night and he said, if you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable in order to be successful in doing whatever you're going to do.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And every year, some of the hunts that we do, we try to do a mix of, all right, we've been there, done this one, and it turned out good, and it's got a cool story, so we'll do it again. But then we always want some that are
off the wall,
out there.
Yeah.
Put me in my discomfort zone.
We, honestly, for us hunting out of state, like, we don't mind showing some of the spots because chances are we're never going to go back there.
Yeah.
Because we want to hunt new country. Like we feel like we hunt new country better than this old stomping grounds.
Really?
Way better.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah. So, I think the biggest thing, like you have preconceived notions, right? You had an experience here and it may have been positive, may have been poor. So you have a judgment of what that's going to be. You go back and it's not that same. Then all of a sudden, mind games kind of come in. And it's like, oh, should we move? Should we do this? You go to a new country. It's like you don't leave on any stone unturned. You go over the next ridge.
No preconceived notions.
Yeah,
right.
and so that's archery elk is for one takes advantage of that because they're bugling and it's like, all right, we'll just keep going and going and going. And so, we've had that where we hunted Colorado, had an amazing experience, killed some bulls, great big bulls, went back the next year. In the first 3 days, it was not the same. Mm-hmm. And I watched the morale in camp and everyone's like, well, I don't know about going and doing, so like you're already set yourself up with these expectations. So, I would love to look at a map and say like, here's a bull, and just have pins all over the place of where we've hunted elk. So
cool.
And like Kody
different.
said, we've never scouted a bull that we've ever shot, ever.
Oh, really?
Never. We've never laid eyes on a bull that we've shot. Ever, I don't think. Ever. Huh. And we've killed a number. What'd you add up the other day? How many on film? I think it's 76 bulls. And not one of them we've seen before. So, it's like we are so willing to go to a new area. It's because it's an adventure.
Yeah.
It's just the fun of it.
That is the fun of it. You guys ever do any rifle hunts or muzzleloader hunts, or is it strictly archery?
I want to start. I want to start doing the rifle hunt. That's why one of these days we should do a rifle hunt.
Come on down.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's,
I have an open invite. No one will take it.
Yeah. Well,
when and
if
where,
you get the job, we'll look through your resume, and then maybe we can work something out.
I'll be on a probationary period.
Definitely probationary period. Yeah,
60 days.
Yeah, it's a 60.
No, I put that. I've already had one person back out of the hunt.
Oh, really?
So yesterday I gave an invite to a bunch of other people. I'm starting to develop a complex.
Yeah.
It's like I can't get anybody to come hunting with me. So I don't know. Maybe my camera guys are telling the truth about me. Oh, he snores at night or something. Or
I do that.
Really?
Apparently, I've never heard it.
I'm not a snorer, thank goodness. But I got one camera guy. He sounds like a grizzly bear's over there. I'm like, dude,
I've shared way too many close quarters with Trent, and it's just like, dude, how does your wife deal with this?
I don't know.
Time to go to sleep. Instantly.
I can sleep on demand. I can lay.
I'm pretty decent at it.
I could lay down on this hard floor, and if I put my mind to it, I could be sleeping in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't got to worry about tossing and turning with me, man. I'm ready to go. But so the dynamics of you guys, are there some people who are habitually late and some who are like punctual freaks? Are there different personalities that?
I will say kids have changed me.
That being the habitual late kind of thing that you just touched on. Cody's not on time much anymore. It used to be always. I don't understand you guys because I've got kids that are 8 and 11, and Cody's got just new kids, you know. And so it's just like Kody couldn't ever understand why we were late every once in a while.
Why can't you
and
do
stuff.
this?
Why can't you
do a conference call tonight? And he's like, dude, I gotta but nah.
Not that hard. Not that hard.
Nah, Trent's looking at me like, you remember?
Yeah.
No, I'm like one of these punctual freaks. Or
Time. You got to be on time.
I leave people. If you aren't there, you're left. And I tell my crew, if I say we're rolling at 6 a.m. and you show up at 6, you're 10 minutes late.
Oh yeah, that's my wife.
And I am pissed.
Yeah.
I can't.
It was 8:23 this morning. It said 8:30, right? So we were
7 minutes late.
What time did it say on the board out there, guys? 8:15, right? This crowd.
You keep changing these times. If you're going to work for us, we need to be on the same page.
Ty changed the times.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he did. Oh, I'm sure he did.
Last
Okay,
night,
that makes sense.
Ty's like, yeah, we had to move you guys to 8:15 from 8:30. I'm like, whatever. These guys are elk hunters. They'll be there by 8 o'clock. I don't got to call them and worry about it. You guys come rolling in. But you were 7 minutes early from what you thought the time was. But I don't know what it is. It's part of my DNA, and I need to go get treatment for it or something, because if I set a time and somebody's late, I'm just pissed for about 2 hours. I'm like ornery pissed.
Really?
Yeah.
Good to know.
So my crew realizes that, and they're like in panic mode if they are not in the truck, gear organized, and I'm putting it in drive at 6 o'clock.
Well, so how did that work with Ty hunting with you? Because he's like an hour.
Right. We did a hike-in hunt with him.
So he had to be there.
Right.
Where once he was there, how about that?
Yeah, he couldn't be late.
Yeah.
So
I watched that hunt. That was pretty cool. That was a neat hunt, I thought.
Yeah, it was fun.
That was neat.
It's hard. You guys know how this is. You're out there. The elk don't read a script. You kind of have a basic storyline on what you're trying to do. And in your mind, like, this was a place I'd never been to. I'd driven by it many, many times. And I'd always look up into that big burn country up there, 11, 12,000 feet. I'm like, I got to go hunt that someday. So I finally draw the tag. And you got it in your mind of what it's like. Google Earth, Onyx Maps, you're doing all this. And then you get there and it's like, completely
not what you expect.
Yeah.
Was this an area that has your little filter of the white?
Oh yeah. The roadless layer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then it had a burn layer. I'm like, this is it. Look at that.
This is the one.
There's a big tank there. So there's one big water hole there.
I saw that.
And we're like, this is it. No one else is going to be in here. We go down there to water the llamas. And some dude jumps out of the brush. Hey, I'm turkey hunting here. He'd set up a turkey blind on that tank. I'm like, you climbed up to almost 10,000 feet to hunt turkeys in October.
Yeah.
What in the hell is your problem, pal?
Oh, man.
So now we're like, I wonder how that impacts everything. Well, then we got in there 2.5 days before season opened. We just wanted to scout and get organized. Well, the day before season, here comes everybody. It's like,
oh, really?
Oh, there's a march of people walking up. Everyone's got the same idea. I'm going to set up on that tank.
Because they've been driving past it, and they watched it on Onyx Maps. That's got to be good.
I think that's it. And so, you know how it is. Right then, when all those people show up, there's a guy bear hunting, there's a guy turkey hunting, there's a couple guys with cow tags. It's like, wow. This is not what I expected. So you just kind of, all right, we're going to have to go this much higher, this much further. This is camp. We got to make this march every day. And and you make it work. But that banter you saw in the show there of me looking at those guys, I swore it was a burrow. I've hunted Arizona before, and I've seen burrows, and there's this noise, and Ty's like, you hear that? That's a bull. I'm like, that's a donkey.
That's a donkey.
And Marcus looks at me, he's like, no, I think it's a bull. And it made some faint noise again. The wind's blowing a little bit, so I can't hear that well. I'm like, I didn't hear it. And this goes on in the film we showed last night is only like a 20-second piece. This goes on for probably a half hour. And I'm trying to fall asleep. I need my afternoon nap. And those guys are waking me up. Did you hear it? I'm like, shut the hell up, guys. I'm sleeping, all right? Finally, they're getting so irritated that I'm not willing to go up there that they start making up this whole thing. And so finally I get up. I'm like, all right, whatever. So I think they know it's a burrow. And so I think the joke is we're going to go in and I'm going to stalk this donkey and they're going to take the footage and put it out there on the world.
Randy sleeping. We made him go after. Yeah.
Al Gore's internet is going to tell the world that Randy is stalking a donkey. And then the wind's blowing, so there's trees falling down, these old deadfalls in the burn, and they're like, you hear that? I'm like, no, a tree fell down. No, it's an elk. And I think I'm being played until right up at the end, the bull's now only like 200 yards away, and he does let out a real bugle. I'm like, man, they weren't jerking my donkey. Yeah. So, but then we start easing in on it, and Ty's bugling, and it's really, he's a really good caller. But then this bull goes back to his donkey sound. And I'm like, all right, there's two things in here. There's a bull and a donkey. And up the hill further, there's another bull bugling that you can really tell that's a bull.
That's a bull.
And but the wind's completely wrong to go after that one. So I'm like, well, I'm going to go investigate this donkey down here. And if it's really a donkey, we'll loop back out and we'll go up to the other one. Well, Ty's bugling. And I look ahead, and I just see this, like a movement of an antler. And if you saw in the footage last night, you probably couldn't even see the animal.
It was hard to
shot. And all of a sudden, he turns and looks down at us, and I'm like, the gig is up. So I have to offhand this.
You just winged it.
Yeah, and I get down, and I'm offhanding it, and all I have is a little opening on his front shoulder. And I shoot, and I didn't know if I...
You could tell. You didn't have a clue.
And if you would have heard, if we wouldn't have edited the audio,
was there some?
You would have heard a lot of colorful language about how thick it was and how I don't know what happened, and so
you're still in that sleep coma, right?
Yeah, right. And I think Marcus made some comment about, well, you see the antlers on that donkey? And we walk up there, and it was a really nice 6-point.
It was a beautiful bull.
So that's just one of those things about how when you show up, hunting new country, if you have preconceived ideas, expect them to be completely destroyed the first hour of your hunt.
It's that the mental game of a long hunt is the key to success because everyone's going to go hard at it for 3 days. Day 4, it's like, hey, let's maybe sleep in this morning. Let's do this, and it just the intensity lowers. And I think I had an experience. I had it with South Cox in Nevada 2 years ago. And his theory is go after the low-hanging fruit first. Day 1, I'm like, we camped on this basin, literally 100 yards up over the ridge, glass the basin, the bucks didn't bed. He's like, it's all good. No, let's not go after him. We won't get on him. And basically, each day, the intensity level cranked up. Hey, let's wake up at 5:30 tomorrow morning, get a little bit further hike. And the last day, it was 3:30 in the morning. Whoa. We're going 6 miles out this ridge to the last basin that we've not got to yet.
Wow.
And so it was interesting. Like it literally every day was more intense to the very end. So, it's like that mental game where people peak. It's like the balance of physical training versus mental, fortitude to push forward.
Yeah.
On a hunt is key, I think. So
yeah. Well, for me, I'm so out of shape that it's got to be all mental. I'm not like all you in the audience or you guys. I drive a desk for a living.
That was what was weird about the Land of the Free project. So we go out and we hunt 50 days straight. I mean, mountains and so much elevation, and you get back, and then it's 50 days of sitting right in front of that computer.
Yeah.
And you go,
right. It doesn't take long. You're sitting there in front of that computer.
I got to see that.
Before everything goes to heck. But I've told people many times that I think mentally, as I've gotten older, mentally, I can plow through way more. I can't carry as much. I'm not as strong as I used to be, but I can walk. Mentally, I could walk for 24 hours straight with a pack on my back, and it wouldn't faze me the least. Mm-hmm. Because doing that is just mental.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
It's getting yourself through those.
Body will do it. It's amazingly strong.
And so over time, I think that's one of the benefits that time gives you is it gives you perspective and some relevance to what the bigger picture is. And you know what? I've done this before. Yeah, it's going to suck. It's going to hurt. But your mind starts thinking about other things where you're able to pull it away from the physical pain or the frustration or the whatever. So I would agree that what you said there, Kody, that it's a mental game in elk hunting because if you kill one the first day, great. But that's seldom the case. Usually it's 4 days of ups and downs.
Yeah.
And most people I see who struggle or have the frustrations or give up, it's just like I was when I first started elk hunting. I thought it was going to be easy. And when it wasn't, my mind, I'd deviate from what was probably a pretty good plan, and I'd try this, or I'd give up, or I'd find some reason to go back to camp, or not hunt as hard as I should have, or, oh man, the wind's blowing hard today, and I don't like sitting up here in the wind, or what. And so I just didn't have the mental fortitude to be successful.
And we didn't quite realize it until when Brian came from Hush. We hunted Oregon. He's like, you guys have a playbook. I was like, I guess, because we did the same. I mean, wrong, right, or indifferent, we did the same thing every day, day in, with just, okay, it'll work. We're going to have confidence. Just takes that one. And, and that's in 5 minutes, things can go from terrible, this is horrible, to I just shot a bull at 20 yards. Just like that. And being prepared, like, if you're, let your guard down, you may have that one opportunity that would have been there and you're slacking off and it slips out from under your fingers. And so it's like we just did that cat road shuffle. We bugle, move, nonstop, weather conditions. You just had to have the confidence that this is going to pay off.
Yeah.
And to touch on what you were saying too, in Wyoming, I shoulder bladed a bull and it was devastating. It just killed me. And it was, you talked about the mental fortitude, but the way the things that we've kind of established is our team. It all comes back to the brotherhood of people helping out. And I was talking to Kody and Corey and Dirk and Donnie and just like, man, I was down. I was, the bull went away bugling. He was just fine. But at the same time, it was a blown opportunity and I was in the dumps and it took those guys to kind of raise me back up. But just, hey man, let's get back on the horse again. Let's, and so it does. It's amazing how when you're out there, you rely on each other too, not just yourself. And it's paid dividends for us. It's just having that next guy by your side.
That's just it. Like everyone's asked me, like, well, what was your favorite hunt on Land of the Free? I'm like, the day that Trent killed his bull in Wyoming. They're like, well, what about your hunt? It's like, that to me was the pinnacle. Going through that the day before, he had hit that bull in the shoulder blade. The next day, Corey had located some elk that night. We got on him. 3 different times that bull came in. It was finally the third where we thought most people would have given up. It's like, we're in this wide open burn. The bull saw us. He moves up off the ridge, trots up off the ridge. People are like, all right, game over. Let's go for something else. Nope, let's push forward. Bull comes screaming it. Like, after playing cat and mouse with this bull for 2 hours, it just in a matter of seconds, once we got to the certain position on the ridge and we were in his elevation, it's like, nope, comes running in, shoots him frontal at 17, 18 yards. Game over.
Yeah.
We get on it. Blood trail is not what we expect. Mile and a half.
Ooh, wow.
Straight up.
Jump on the roller coaster. Yeah.
Wow.
1,000-foot elevation gain. Straight up the mountain. Find him 6 hours later, I think. Dead.
Oh, wow.
And he died within
30 or 40 minutes.
30 or 40 minutes. It was amazing.
I mean, he just went in a beeline straight up the mountain.
And there was blood. We could track blood the whole way. It was amazing. It was something else. And we worked as a team, you know, how it gets when it gets hands and knees. And then, okay, we can follow it good, you know. And then it was amazing. And, yeah, he had a place he wanted to go. And he made it to that place. And, yeah, it was an emotional hunt, to say the least.
Yeah.
But,
There was some tears shed for sure.
That's that mental part of just seeing it through. So you were saying you guys did some snow goose hunting?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yep.
Because all I've ever seen you guys do is hunt elk.
Yes. Yeah.
How did you decide to go snow goose hunting? There's not a lot of commonality between hunting elk in Oregon and hunting snow geese in South Dakota.
No.
So I grew up waterfowl hunting, loved it.
Really?
Yeah,
I
I
didn't
spent
know
a
that.
ton of days doing it. And basically all through college, I worked at a decoy company building decoys and spent a ton of times waterfowl hunting. When we started Born and Raised, I pretty much like cold turkey 2007, hung up the calls, shotgun, stopped doing it.
Oh, wow.
So just to, you know, focus on this. And when we started, you know, editing, it was like all waterfowl season, so I didn't do it. We met, our buddy Nate took on Trent's, like he's duck hunted, but it's the float down the river. And
not a big waterfowl dude, you know, talking about plugs and a shotgun kind of thing. And I'm like, well, doesn't it hold? How many does it hold? You know, no, you can only get 3. And I said, well, it holds 5. Why? So yeah, I've never been a real, you know, waterfowl hunter or nothing like that. As far as never really done it ever.
Yeah.
And it was something new.
So yeah, we it was kind of fun. Like, well, with this YouTube thing, we have the ability to, you know, before it was like if it didn't make sense for the DVD or the TV show at the time, we didn't do it. And so now with YouTube, we can do whatever we want to do at any point in time. And so it opened up some doors. We took Wyatt on his first duck hunt with our buddy Nate Bailey, and then went New Year's. Trevor had never done it before. Shot some honkers. He ate them. And he's like, "Oh my gosh, this is the best." Like, he literally thinks it's the best meat ever on a goose. So it opened up some avenues. And then our buddy Ryan Rickert from Bozeman said, "Hey, going on snow goose hunt." And so he was able to go out, our buddy Ben, and take Wyatt and do that.
It was fun. We had we didn't kill a lot of them. We saw a lot of them, but we didn't kill a lot of them. But it was so much fun. And that's the neat thing about, we used to always do, like we took a bunch of kids this year blacktail hunting and with rifles, and which it's a blast. We love to do that. That's what we grew up doing.
Right.
And we got so wrapped up in we are elk bow hunters is what everybody thinks that we are, but we actually do a lot more stuff.
Love fishing, living in the drift boat,
fishing,
steelhead fishing.
Yeah. So anyway,
I need to come to work for you guys. Can I get my resume polished up?
It's already in.
I haven't drawn a paycheck out of my operation for 10 years, so minimum wage would be a big
Step
high.
up.
Yeah, it'd be a big raise for me.
Absolutely.
But after you guys hung out with me for very long, you'd probably say, Newberg, if you're going to hang out here, you got to pay us, not us pay you.
It's still a 60-day trial.
Even if I offered to pay, I'm on a probationary period. Huh?
Yeah.
Well, no, the reason I asked about the snow goose is I try to hunt different places, different seasons, different terrains for elk, because I think I look at our content and the elk hunts get way more views, and it's just because of elk.
Sure.
But I don't want to just hunt Montana all the time. I like going to New Mexico or Arizona or somewhere else. When I force myself to hunt seasons I'm not necessarily that comfortable with, I learn a lot. If I force myself to hunt terrain and conditions, because if you go hunt elk in the pinyon juniper of, say, New Mexico or Nevada or Arizona, you have to have a completely different mindset of how you approach that versus hunting alpine elk in Montana, for example.
We'd probably suck in the
Terrible.
We chase them all away.
And so I try to do some of that, and sometimes it's even different species. I like to push myself out there to do that or do this. Like, I consider myself like the most below average mule deer hunter that ever walked the planet. I mean,
I don't think so.
I am like, when it comes to mule deer, if there were 300 bucks on the mountain, I would find the smallest one. It just the way I'm that bad at it. But I force myself to go and do it.
Yeah.
Because I learn a lot more when it's something I'm bad at or not experienced at than something that, hey, I've done this 1,000 times. And don't get me wrong, I go do some of the things that I feel like I'm a little better at because, one, it's more fun and it's easier on the mind. But I find that for my total abilities as hunting, pushing myself outside of those comfort zones, I learn way, way more. So when you were talking about waterfowl hunting, I thought maybe there was a connection of, all right, we're trying to apply some of our elk to waterfowl
No.
Okay.
No, they gave me a call and it was rough. That's why they have electronic calls.
Right. When it comes to duck hunting, my buddy Pat, he takes care of the calling. We've come. It's kind of like when I hunt elk with Corey. We've come to a mutual agreement that, you know what, Randy, you do the shooting, I'll do the calling.
Well, it's one of those like practice what we preach, right? Is like go learn something new, and we expand this experience, and we're going to build on it, and want to like share that with people that we don't know what we're doing here. We're going to try and figure this out, and hopefully over time we get a little bit better. And so it's just one of those things. It's opened up some avenues that we thus couldn't normally share. So,
how's the spring bear hunting over there?
Where we're at?
Yeah.
There's thousands of them.
Wow.
We call them black rats. We don't even call them bears, really. They are. They're everywhere. They're everywhere.
What are you doing on May 10th?
Probably, I don't know, editing an elk video. We have lots of bears.
The spring bears, it's kind of frustrating, honestly, because their bear population's above management objective.
Yeah.
But they have the Southwest, it's over the counter, but a limited quota.
Okay, so once the quota's filled, season's over?
And it's, it's a limited tag.
It's a limited tag.
So okay.
That's
but they require a check-in on the bear, so they know how many are harvested. It's like, why not make it
a quota,
a harvest quota versus a tag quota?
Right.
Because what happens, so they divvied up, there's some draw hunts in the northeastern part of the state, which I drew last year. We'd never done it before. Amazing experience. Got to go see some brand new country. And so if you put in for that, then you can't buy a Southwest tag.
Oh.
Or to get a point, you got to have 1 or 2 points, so you can't hunt. So then it's like so people a lot of times just buy tags, and I don't know what the participation rate in the hunt, but it's like when people buy licenses, do you want a spring bear tag? Sure.
Oh, and then they don't even go.
Don't even go.
Oh,
most of the people. So it's one with the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. It's like, come on, guys, like let's get, they did a study. I had a friend that did a calf mortality study, and he had 19 calves that he collared. 18 of them were bear kills.
Wow!
Within the first 30 days of that. And so the bear population is like for us. So growing up, there's a ton of BLM Forest Service ground in the Cascade Range, and that's where I grew up elk hunting with my dad. And the elk populations, they slowed on timber sales. And then the predators, in 96, 94, when Measure 18 came, when we lost hounds for bear, the predation population skyrocketed. So now the management tools that were in place aren't there. And so, the game populations, you go up in the Cascades now, and it's far and few between.
Yeah. Huh.
So.
Well, I asked.
Come on over.
I need to do that because for a couple of reasons. One, you guys should do one. I did a 12-day bear hunt last year, day by day on YouTube, and we didn't kill anything. It's crazy how many people watch that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Really? You guys want to see me sit on this mountain in a lightning storm?
Yeah.
Maybe they were hoping I'd get smoked or something. That's why they were watching it. But
we're coming to Montana spring bear hunting.
You are?
Yeah.
When?
June 8th through the 12th.
Yep.
It's late, but
really.
Yeah. So with Land of the Free,
I get back from Alaska on June 6th. So.
Well,
I'll be home one day. That's enough for my wife
Plenty.
to say,
Yeah.
I'm tired of you already. Go do something.
What we did a giveaway for Land of the Free.
Yeah.
Benchmade was like, hey, let's take a guy and go do a public land hunt. 'Cause originally we were like, well, let's do a turkey hunt or a hog hunt. And it's like,
Right.
well, no, it's about public land. So chose Montana. We drew a winner. He never responded. He had a 30-day window. Went to the next guy. Anyways, we picked a guy from Bellingham, Washington. He's coming with us. And then Exo paid for his buddy to go as well. So we're going to have a bear camp and with Onyx guys and the Benchmade guys and come up to Montana for... It's a 4-day hunting.
Right.
So we'll be there for about 6 days total and come experience what Montana has to offer in the spring.
Well, you'll get a lot of views on that one. They're a ton of fun.
That's that'll be fun. And a little nerve wracking, honestly, having someone that we've never met go share a camp and then we're doing something. So, we'll see how that goes. But
we've done 3 sweepstakes. 2 elk hunts and antelope hunt. And it is a bit unnerving. You never know, like you say, who you're going to get. We've been lucky. Every sweepstakes winner we've had been unbelievable people.
That's awesome.
Just great people. And I feel bad that the 2 elk hunts, we got close. The one, it just didn't work out where the camera was in one spot, the shooter's in the other, and it was a rifle hunt, and it didn't line up. You know how that is, right?
Gotcha. Oh, yeah.
And then
definitely.
the other elk hunt was a guy, and the bull was standing there at, I think, a little over 300, and we just run up this mountain, and there was no good rest, no good prone positions, and he just said, I'd like to get a better shot.
Sure.
And
good for him.
But he thought it was a great hunt. And then we did the antelope hunt last year with Onyx. And she shot a nice antelope in New Mexico. And
awesome.
So all these people I stay in touch with.
It was cool. We put in so we did everybody. We combined everybody that put in for the stuff that we gave away, I mentioned earlier. And we had right at 40,000 people.
Yeah.
And it's like... That's what Benchmade was saying. We're talking with Matt Elliott, and he's like, so how do we do this? Do we get 10 people and then draw? And I said, no, we got to pretty much, I think we have to draw a name out of 40,000. If we get Grandma Gertrude, we get Grandma Gertrude.
Right.
She's going hunting. So it's like, okay. And so we drew the first guy, and I think it was a fake email or something because we couldn't get a hold of him. He never responded.
Found him on Facebook. He was a retired architect from Texas, I think.
Okay.
But never responded. So
he just wanted a free pair of socks from First Light.
I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. So the second guy after the 30 days went up, we drew him. The guy's Nick from Washington, and super excited. Great
it was
guy.
Awesome.
Ironically, he actually sent an email the week before, just thanks for the Land of the Free type deal. So it was so
cool.
Yeah.
And he was pumped.
And
he was
it was like, well, what's your hunting experience? He's like, I killed a bear last year with my bow. He's like, I think I'm going to rifle hunt this time. We're like, perfect.
So the sweepstakes ones that we're trying to put one together this year to take somebody archery elk hunting in Colorado, and the Bowtech is sponsoring it, and because Bowtech wants to do it nationwide, and there's all these things you got to go through.
Yeah.
There's really lottery and gaming rules for every state, and they're paying all the legal costs, and it's crazy what it costs. So we think we're going to have all the hurdles cleared we do this Elk Talk Live every Wednesday night on Facebook.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And we think by the May 10th version, I think it's May 10th or May 9th, whatever that first one is, and second one is in May. We think we're going to have all the hurdles cleared. And then anyone who has sent a text, Randy, Randy, to 77453, you're in the drawing.
I think I'm going to do that.
You don't know who you're going to get, but this unit in Colorado is not easy. So whoever we draw.
Is it just an over-the-counter tag, Colorado?
No, because we missed the Colorado deadline.
Because I was going to say, how do you...
Bowtech has a person who said, I get these, because in Colorado you get landowner vouchers that you can hunt.
Oh, gotcha.
You can hunt them.
Okay.
So I said, look, it's got to be self-guided. It's got to be public land. So they've been scouring, trying to find how to do this since we've already missed the Colorado deadline. And so they found somebody who has yeah, here.
Perfect.
Just let them go, whatever, you know. So I said, well, we're not going to be hunting on their land. And they're like, that's even better yet, because I guess they do some of their hunting. And so.
Tough hunt, though. It's going to be probably.
Yeah. I mean, Colorado is not.
It's rugged.
Yeah. So this is one, because we've done the ones in New Mexico. I knew that, you know, it's pretty moderate terrain. I wasn't that worried, but this one, I'm like, I hope we get someone who's in better shape than I am. But, or maybe I want someone who's not in as good a shape.
That's what
as
I would
am.
root for.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to have that one cleared pretty soon. But yeah, you never know who you're going to get.
That's exciting.
But I just approach it as, you know, this person won it, and how can I make it as much fun for them as possible?
Awesome.
Exactly.
I got a totally random off the wall question. Hunting in Montana, grizzly bear country.
Yeah.
We were pretty naive hunting Wyoming this year. Corey was, you know, we were in thick grizzly country. Didn't, you know, first night we were there, we were staying at a Forest Service campground, but we took our oatmeal in the morning to fire up the jet bowl, and Corey's like, that's a death sentence right there. We're like, what are you talking about? What do you do for precautions? How do you?
Yeah, we're like meticulous, because we set up a lot of camps in grizzly country, and we had my podcast that's out right now is with a guy named Todd Orr. He got attacked by a grizzly bear. If in 2016 you were on Facebook and you saw a guy from Montana all mangled up, well, Todd lives in Bozeman. Right. And finally I'm like, Todd, come on, we got to do this. So anyhow, we touched on quite a few things there, but for us, we take all of our food, we hang it a couple 100 yards from camp. And we hang it way up there.
Right.
And far away from the base of the tree, so they couldn't climb up and reach out. That's where we eat.
You eat over there?
Oh, yeah. We don't bring our food back to camp and eat in our tent or anything. And you clean out your pack. You know, if you take a snack or whatever with you, or a sandwich bag or whatever, you don't bring your pack back to the tent with an old Snickers wrapper in it. You go to because we have another bag where we hang the garbage,
trash.
You know, like our mountain house stuff, because that smells like food.
Sure.
Oh.
So you clean out your pack every day, and say you've got your trail mix all right, I'm halfway through my bag. That goes in the food bag that night. It doesn't stay in your pack.
Yeah,
we do.
I had empty tuna fish containers in my pack.
Oh my God. I mean, so some people are like, well, Newberg, you're overboard, man. You've never had an encounter. You never had a bear come and raid your camp.
That's the point.
Right. Yeah.
That's kind of the point.
So
do you do electric fences around your tent?
I don't do the electric fencing. I know some people who do, and you know, the first few times, I remember the first few nights I slept in grizzly camp, man, I was like all ears. I hardly got any noise, and you hear a squirrel dropping pine cones out of a tree. You're like, what was that? What was that? You know, you're kind of reaching for your bear spray or your firearm.
Do you keep the bear spray and firearm on you?
No, I don't.
Don't you?
No, I keep it out in my vestibule of my tent.
Yeah.
I mean, so I don't know.
Have you had, like, actually hunting? Have you had any encounters that...
I've had 2 encounters with grizzly bears while hunting, and another that should have been a third, but Norman McLean wrote in the book, A River Runs Through It, we owed the world a tragedy and didn't know it. I owed myself a tragedy and I didn't know it. It was snowing, and I told this on the last podcast with Todd. I'm walking in and it's snowing hard, and it's opening day of rifle season, so I want to get in there way before daylight. And I can see these tracks off to the side. I'm thinking they're moose tracks or something. It's enough that through my headlamp I can see the shadow outline of the track, and so get out there, get to this spot where it crosses the creek, and I thought, well, I'm just going to stay here. And I look, I'm like, wow, those are grizzly tracks. I'm like walking right in behind this thing. And so I climb up this little ridge and wait for it to get daylight. And I look, and out there about 400 yards in front of me is this great big old grizzly bear just digging and rooting around. And I'm walking right in behind him. So that was a tragedy. I probably owed the world.
There you go.
It didn't work out. And twice in archery season, I've had grizzly bear encounters, but they happened so fast. And both times the bear saw me at the same time, and it took off the other direction, and I went home for the weekend. It puts enough of
It rattled you.
Yeah, it's like you see how quick it happens and how unprepared you are. You know, it's not like you can archery hunt and walk around with your bear spray in your right hand.
No,
ready, because you're never going to be able to hunt.
No.
And if either of those bears would have decided to turn and come my direction, I'd have had a problem. And it would have happened so fast, I would have been trying to deploy my bear spray while they're on top of me. And so the people who always tell me, I just shoot them, I'm like, those people have never been in a situation where they've encountered a grizzly bear to realize how quickly it happens. I mean, even in, say I carry a sidearm, what am I going to do? Walk around like I'm John Wayne or Clint Eastwood, bow in my left hand, my 44 in my right hand?
Right.
That's not how you're going to hunt elk.
Not really.
And that would be the only way that I could have defended myself if I could hit them. I'm not good enough with a handgun. I could hit anything. But it would have happened so fast, I could not have deployed a handgun. Not even a chance. And so when there's a bear on my head, I'm trying to protect the back of my neck so I don't get paralyzed, and that bear grabs my right hand or my right arm and breaks it, how good am I going to be at defending myself with a firearm?
Right.
That's my theory on it anyhow.
That's why you keep tuna fish in your pack.
Wow. If I knew somebody in grizzly country had tuna, first of all, I wouldn't even let you bring tuna fish into camp. It's like mountain house and bagels and nuts. That's like what we eat in grizzly camp.
Well, but we were in Wyoming. They don't know anything about tuna or anything ocean-wise. So we were good. We were good.
But we went into it pretty naive. I carried bear spray. He had a sidearm. I think it was with Corey, so it was day 3 that we were hunting. Day 2, maybe day 2 in Wyoming. Going in on this trail after a bull that we heard bugle, and it was the fresh.
That was something else. I mean, it was
fresh track.
Yeah.
I got size 14 boots.
It was big.
I put my foot next to it, and it dwarfed it. And I was like, growing up black bear, like bears, literally never been a concern. I mean, we just never. I mean, you can.
You see them, but they're not.
Yeah, I mean, get close to the blackberries, and they just run away.
Yeah.
So seeing that, it was like, Trent, look,
It was big.
It was big. It's like, whoa. It definitely gave a, all right.
It raises your awareness.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. And then the thing, too, you're calling. I mean, literally the day we left Wyoming, and we found this out after season, a guy got mauled close to us.
Yeah.
And, he survived. Same deal. He was sitting on a stump cow calling, and it was a sow with cubs. Yeah. And he looked up, saw the bear, and knocked him off the stump and rolled him in. And then hearing like Ranella's story with Remy in Alaska, it's like Dirt Myth riding the bear down the hill. It's like, what is? Yeah, I mean,
Giannis and I had coffee. He lives in Bozeman, so we meet up for coffee every month or so. And he was telling me their meat eater story of that whole bear encounter. He's like, yeah, we did plenty of things wrong. We'll call that one lucky.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. What do you do for meat care?
Again, I usually hang it far away from camp. I want to get it away from the carcass and the gut pile or whatever you might do if you do gutless or non-gutless method. But then we bring it and we hang it somewhere far from camp. Like when Marcus shot that one in the Wind River this year, we hung it probably 300 yards from camp. And then I also like to say, all right, the prevailing wind is this way. I want all of my stinky stuff downwind from camp. I don't want my camp downwind from that stuff because the bear is going to come in with his nose in the wind. So I don't want him walking through my camp because he smells my dead elk hanging in the tree 300 yards upwind. So that's how we do it. But back to hunting with Corey, he came up to Montana in 2015, and my favorite elk hunting place is infested with grizzly bears. I know someday I am going to be a grizzly bear turd, and I told my wife, that beats dying in a hospital, rotting away, plugged into machines for 6 months or something. So I always, when I say this, it's always the disclaimer that, all right, folks, I put myself in places that probably raise my likelihood of having an encounter. But with Corey, we walked in this one morning, and as we're coming out, There's like you said, this really fresh grizzly bear track where we just walked through.
Went.
So we knew this was like in the last 2 hours. And Corey just can't help but bugle. So he bugles and a bull responds right down in this spot. And I'm like, this could be asking for trouble. He's like, well, we know there aren't any other hunters down there. We know it's not a hunter. We know it's a bull. I'm like, yeah, I could tell that was a bull. But so there's just things that I do also of, prevention is the easiest way. There's some places, like I know in certain areas, the grizzlies are going to be up higher eating on moths in certain parts of September. So I'm hunting that next step down below. I know that during the day, they're going to bed on a north face, probably down in the thick jungle brush, the berries and other stuff. Well, guess what? I'm not going to just go lollygagging through that
we
stuff.
We did that with Dirk one day. We got up in it. It was like blow down, just north face. And I mean, it was thick. And it was like, maybe we should have gone around.
So even though I'm in an area with a high grizzly density, there's certain things you can do to lessen the likelihood of encounters. Because let's face it, we're going as quiet as we can, which they tell you don't do that, make noise. We're going with the wind in our face, which they say no, try let your odor get to the bear, hopefully scare him off.
Spook him.
We're cow calling. We're doing all these things that make noise and scare critters. I just got the hook sign. See, you guys showed up late, so we're getting the hook. We've only been at this for 2 hours and 8 minutes.
Well, you said 2:15.
I said 2:15. 2
You
hours
go for
and 15.
2:15.
All right, but the boss just walked in the doorway there in mid sentence, and he gave me the knife across the throat. So, you guys got any marital advice? Anything we got to leave the audience with?
Happy wife, happy life.
Yeah, you got one shot. Pick a good one.
Oh man, that's a good piece. Mine, everyone already knows mine, so I don't need to repeat it again.
Don't repeat it again.
Yeah, but I will. If you want to stay married a long time, you need to be more concerned about peace than justice.
Yeah, that's a fact.
That's what I'll leave them with. But anyhow, guys, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
They can follow you guys on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's Born and Raised Outdoors, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And Instagram is what?
Born and Raised Outdoors.
Born and Raised Outdoors.
Facebook, same thing.
Same thing. Any other places they can reach you?
BornandRaisedOutdoors.com.
Yeah.
BornandRaisedOutdoors.com. So there you have it, folks. Maybe someday they'll invite me along and we can do a live podcast from out in the woods somewhere. But I'm sure I'm probably going to have to pay them to accept my invitation. So, but thanks, guys. I love
Thank you so much, Randy.
I'm glad we were finally able to catch up and do this. So
Yeah, that's great.
Good luck this season.
You too. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, folks.